Yeah, I don't know why the extras are here. Literally everything you need is just over here.
Okay, so I have no clue what the heck is this game.
Okay,
And
I'll
why is there a
explain it.
piano keyboard?
This random crap all over here is completely irrelevant.
Okay. Is that a real clock? Well, that is.
Yep.
Was it a fake clock?
21:48.
Ah, but it's based on your local time, not mine. Oh.
Oh my.
All right. I don't actually know how to play blackjack. I just dealt everybody 2 cards and then realized that the dealer already lost. How does this work? Do you deal 1 card then say hit, or do you deal 2 and then say hit?
One face up, one face down? No.
That's only for the dealer.
Oh,
The
that's
dealer has
different.
1 face down because he's trying to beat the dealer. But if someone just like gets the chicken dinner right away,
Oh.
do you bet before you get cards? You have to bet. You have to bet before you get cards. Then you get dealt 2, right? And then you decide whether you want to hit or stay. Yeah, because you go. It's hit, stay, or split, or like the other like insurance or like all the other crap. So you have to get dealt 2 cards. So if someone just gets it, then they beat the dealer. They get paid. Everybody else has to decide. Because he's already this chode's already winning. And so then everybody else is like, well, what do you got? And like, well, do you hit on 17? Probably not. You certainly hit on 13. You just hit on 15. You gotta beat that. And then you bust. So this guy loses. So you go. And this guy is like, well, I don't know. I think I'm gonna stay. And it turns out he wins. Yay!
And that's the true meaning of Christmas.
Gosh.
Huh.
I don't know, man. Blackjack sucks.
Yeah,
Real
let's
men
actually play a good game.
Pazak.
What? Is that what this is?
Why does it have jiggle physics?
Because it's the best anime character.
Oh god.
Oh my gosh! I can't believe you've done this.
Do I have to reload?
No, just ignore the cards.
Yeah. Alright,
Did we
so,
get the card?
One stuck in my face.
welcome to Zendo. So we're actually going to be playing a house variant I came up with because the original game actually has a story and a plot based off of meditation, and it's really complicated, so I simplified it. And when I play with a lot of people, they agree that this version is a lot more fun. So basically the idea of the game is I'll start off as the first rule master. We'll just call it that. The rule master comes up with a rule about structures. So it could be anything like, as you can see, the pieces over here, there are 9 primary pieces we're going to be using. 3 separate colors, red, green, blue. 3 separate shapes, pyramid, wedge, and block.
If I could interject really quick, just to give everybody a decent starting point.
Mhm.
This is this builds off of Mastermind. In
Okay.
concept.
Yeah. I guess, like,
we're supposed to be guessing the rule or something.
yes, we're guessing the rule. So, like, I can make a rule of a structure may only contain 2 pieces. So, build a structure, take a block, put pyramid on top of block. Boom, I built a structure with 2 pieces. So, that would follow the rule. When a game starts, the rule master comes up with a rule. I promise I'm not gonna, spirit of the game, don't change the rule halfway through. I'm gonna come up with a rule that, yeah, I'll figure it out when we start. But basically, first turn of a round, the rule master goes first. They will build a structure that follows the rule. Next important pieces are you have white stones and black stones. These are what make the game complicated originally. So I just kind of, I repurposed them. A white stone determines whether or not a structure does follow the rule. A black stone determines whether or not it doesn't. So if I say I'm going to build a structure with 2 pieces, and then I just throw this down, I'll put a black stone in front of it to show, okay, here's a structure, does not follow the specific rule. After I build my structure, and, as the game master, I always build a structure that does follow the rule. So I'll build a structure and put a white stone down in front of it. Then we go clockwise around each other player's turn. You will have 2 options on your turn. The first option is you make a prediction. So when you make a prediction, you build a structure in front of you, and then you take either a white or a black stone and put it in front of your structure to say, I think this does follow the rule, or I don't think it does. If your prediction is correct, you'll get a guessing cube. It's cheese. There's a bag of cheese. The physical version has green cubes, and that's the closest thing I think they could come up with this. So there's a bag of cheese here. Those are going to be your guessing cubes. The other option you have on your turn, if you don't build a structure but you do have a guessing cube, you can spend one of those guessing cubes to formally make a guess about what the rule is. So let's say after a couple of set predictions, you say, okay, I think the rule is this. You put down a guessing cube. That shows you are making a formal guess as opposed to just kind of talking in the wind, because this is open forum. You can kind of say whatever you really want to around this game.
You can get a guessing cube if you submit a known incorrect Zendo.
Yes, so if you have some idea as to what the
super easy.
Yes, but you're using your turn, so you have to go around the clock in order to respend the guessing cube.
Sure. Okay.
It kind of balances itself out that way.
And is there a rule that says you can't submit the same Zendo twice?
No.
Like if we'll say the what's the name, the hint master or whatever. Say the master puts something down and then this is a passing Zendo, and then the next person immediately puts the same exact Zendo and says this is a passing Zendo. Would they get a cube?
Oh, right. We wouldn't allow that.
Okay, well,
then,
see...
But if you switch up one color or one shape, and it's a different structure...
Zendo,
yeah, then...
Okay, so to clarify, when you make a guess, do you only get a guessing cube if your guess was correct?
Yes.
Or do you just get a guessing cube anyway?
No, you only get a guessing cube if your guess was correct, but you can strategically set up your guesses. You get it if your guess was correct for whether it does or does not follow the rule. You would get a guessing cube.
Okay, so you could also intentionally make something that you're pretty sure isn't following the rule and guess no, and then get a guessing cube for that.
Yes, and that does set you up for your next turn, but that is you spending your turn. You cannot do both.
Yeah, okay, just making sure of that.
Yep.
And if we keep going round until someone gets it?
Yes, we keep going around until... Yeah, so we'll keep going around. When it comes back to my turn, or the Game Master's turn, every player other than the Game Master has the option to unanimously agree whether or not they want the Game Master to build a structure that does follow the rule or does not. Once they came to that decision and let the Game Master know, then the Game Master builds a new structure, determines whether or not it follows the rule based on the stone that he puts down, and then we keep going around until somebody tries to spend a guessing cube. And then the game is over, obviously, when somebody correctly spends a guessing cube and gets the rule.
Okay, hang on, let me just make sure I got this right. So, the Game Master builds a Zendo, indicates whether it passes or does not pass the rule. Then
we have to vote for what we want him to do, right?
Yes. So the very first one that the Game Master builds must follow the rule. Must be a white stone.
Yeah, I'm following that. Yeah. So then I'll build a Zendo and guess whether or not, and then try to say this follows the rule. It does not follow the rule. I'll get a result. Then Nate will do it. Then Mike will do it. Then we all agree whether we need another example of a passing or a failing Zendo.
Yes.
and then it repeats those same 4 steps over and over again.
Yes.
Okay, so we could just keep getting 4 every turn cycle. We'll keep getting 4 different Zendos getting added to the pile. Okay.
Yep.
To the set of Zendos. Okay.
Also, is the game master attempting to cooperate with us, or are they trying not to have us guess?
You can do whatever you want to. The Game Master doesn't win or lose anyway. Either way. It's not like Mysterium or Deception where the all-knowing silent person is on a specific team. The Game Master is kind of the one building structures. So you could ridiculously troll people and come up with a really hard rule and then build very obscure towers. I'm not going to do that for the first one. Don't worry.
So the students are trying to meet each other.
Yes.
And then the master is just doing whatever's there.
Yes.
And the rule, does it have to be like a singular rule, or can it be like some complex, multi-part bullcrap?
It can be multi-part.
Then this. If you have a red square, then it's this following rule. If you have a yellow block, then it's this.
Can I use regex?
No.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna say no because I have no idea what that is.
No. We'll stop. No, stop. You can stop.
So yeah, I would say keep the rules to 1 sentence long, and don't be that guy who uses commons and semicolons in their sentences.
Can it be piecewise defined over a certain spectrum?
I have no idea what that means, so I'm gonna say no. Remember, I was the psych major of us. I have no idea what half this stuff is.
The rule
My
depends
Zendo
on
is
whose turn it
non-differentiable
is.
about the set of.
So
If it's Mike's turn, the rule is defined by regex. If it's anyone else's turn, it's
Oh,
not.
heaven forbid.
no. So a couple more rules, and here's one of them. The rule that we're doing for the structure must be constant, cannot change. Makes enough sense. Next rule. Any structure that you build must be self-contained within its own design. That's weird wording. Basically, it means no matter which angle you look at a structure, the rule must always be either true or false. So I can't say, the rule is that this structure always has a pyramid that points towards Mike.
Right.
Yeah, because like if Mike moves, then all of a sudden the rule's invalid, and the rule just would have changed. So where do we go from there?
Be particular frame of reference dependent.
Correct. And then there was one.
But you could do like yellow block adjacent to red block.
Yes.
Blue block way off on its own.
Yeah, that's fairly complicated, but you can do that.
Okay.
There was.
Okay, I think I get it. I'm ready.
Hold on, there was one more really important piece I just forgot.
Oh, also, is there a way for us to like make notes?
Also a notebook. You can add a notebook, bub.
Oh,
and also lock the Zendo after you guys have submitted it. That is good.
How do you lock it?
So you mouse over the thing and then toggle, and then like right.
Can you like box select the whole?
Yes.
Yeah, you can box select your Zendo, but otherwise, like we'll have a whole lot of things in the set of trying to.
Toggle
Also, Nate,
lock.
we need to delete permissions because I can't delete crap.
Stop. I'm not the host.
How do I give permissions?
I have no idea. I was hoping Nate knew.
I can.
Maybe the cheese can go back in the thing. If I can fit it in there.
If you need something deleted, I'll delete it.
Yeah, I mean you could just the host can delete it.
It's just such garbage up in here that would just.
Wait, spawned all the cards.
The cards
Where
started.
spawned? They were there already.
Oh, that's weird.
I mean, who started to play with the cheese, Nate?
Someone else started with the cheese first.
I don't see.
I only was born in the cheese.
There's no locking
Oh,
permission
the
or
cheese.
deleting permissions,
Molded by
so that's unfortunate.
ricotta. Oh, this is such an obscure reference. There's an Italian power metal band, like we're talking like primordial power metal, like medieval fantasy style, and then that parody metal band made a parody song in the style of it, and it's about and in their other band they have like all these Italian words and phrases and stuff. And in this parody, they just say that they just like sing the names of cheeses, Italian cheeses, but like shout it as though they're like epic fantasy heroes and villains and stuff. It's very funny. Anyway, you had to be there. It's one of the most things I'm so excited about, but have no one to share it with.
Oh, thank you for sharing.
I'm sure we all have something like that where you gotta like have like such a strong overlap on a certain knowledge base to understand a reference, but it's so good if you have it, but you just don't know anybody who has it. Anyway,
All right.
I believe we were ready for
Okay.
Speaking of which,
Let me think
Zendo
of,
Master.
yeah, never mind.
let me think of a
Give me a
quick
Zendo.
rule.
Zendo is nuts.
Somebody was going to say it eventually.
Yeah, I can tell it on the tip of your tongue. I had to try
Okay,
to
let's
do it.
start with a relatively classic rule.
The Zendo Master didn't say anything because he was Zendoing. Just kept Zendo.
And give me a second.
For the purposes of clarity, you might need to be like, just say this is touching this. Like just declare that verbally. My intention is for these pieces to be touching. I mean, it might be kind of a hint, but like, otherwise we'll
Oh,
probably.
doesn't need that.
Well, it
I
might.
don't know. You just ask if it's ambiguous.
Yeah, this
I don't
looks
know.
fine.
I usually like to play to intent,
Alright.
especially with TTS.
This does follow the rule.
And lock that puppy up.
Yep.
That's where to go clockwise then.
Yes.
I'm gonna build the same copy of it, but instead of a pyramid, I have a wedge on my yellow. So with crap, it's.
Oh, I just noticed that's not a wedge on that last one.
Yeah, that one's different.
I gotta.
Yep.
I gotta drag all these over. So, yeah, that's my
Yeah, I wish
intention. is to
the
build
the
that.
stuff was in the middle.
It's just kind of stylistic.
So this.
Oh, I just noticed if you zoom in real close, the pyramids and wedges have like ridges on them.
Okay, I'm having a hard time
Just
trying to.
A
Actually
little bit of getting
realize
used to.
this.
sure what you mean by ridges.
My intent is same thing except the
Lines.
blue thing is different. That is
Okay.
my.
I don't
Submission.
see any
Alright,
lines.
then grab whether or not you think it follows
Oh,
the
that's
rule or
right.
does not.
I believe this passes the test.
That does pass the test. So you get the big cheese.
Oh, I have a
The
big-
big cheese.
Okay, it's my turn.
Yes.
Okay. I will try. Okay. Do that. Oh, they're hollow.
Mm-hmm. Which is important.
What?
They're hollow.
These are technically hollow pieces, which is important.
And then no. Oh boy.
Takes a little bit of getting used to. Use the shadows to
Yeah, I
line
was
things up.
trying to. It's just a bit. Fiddly.
And that's why it's important that these pieces are hollow.
I did it.
Forts.
I guess I'm playing really safe.
Okay. I think this passes.
That does pass. So you don't get a big cheese, but here's your guessing cube. Alright, Mike's turn.
Gee.
Okay. Okay, I tried to freestyle that one from way too far away. And then, oof. Okay, I see what you guys mean. This is hard.
It's a little fiddly to try.
You
and
can
stack.
get used to it though. It's not.
I think it would be a little bit better if they were bigger, because then you wouldn't have
You
to.
zoom in.
I mean, if you want to
Well,
make the pieces bigger,
yeah,
I'm not
but
gonna stop you.
then you have to zoom all the way out to get to the pieces again.
Yeah. I mean, build a puppy over there, and then drag it over.
I suppose. What are the pawns for? Are they?
I don't
just
know.
brick pieces, or are they?
I think
Okay.
when the. Okay, so you think that does not follow the rule?
Mm-hmm.
That actually does follow the rule.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'd
So-
like to submit a guess. Oh, no, you do that.
On
do
your
your
turn.
thing.
Yeah, he has to choose.
Yes,
do a
understood.
thing.
Understood.
Yep. So my turn.
I'd like him to submit a failing Zendo.
I would also like a failing Zendo.
Sure.
Okay.
Also, move your Zendo out of the way, Josh. It's too close.
Get that Zendo out of here.
I mean, alright. I don't know how to how do I move it? I locked it, so I don't know how to
You can unlock it.
Yeah, I can't just box select and unlock. Maybe it's fine.
This does not follow the rule.
I'd like to submit a guess.
Okay.
Is the rule that every piece has a piece on top of it?
Incorrect.
Well, that can't possibly be.
Ooh, okay. I just remembered the last rule to this game. When you submit, so like you have to be very specific with the rule, but if your guess is the like antithesis of the actual rule, then you still get the point. So like let's say the rule is a structure cannot contain any pyramids. If you submit a guess and say a structure can only contain blocks and wedges, that is in spirit the exact same thing. So you would win off of that. I forgot to mention that part.
Makes sense. It's the
Okay.
Is that Converse?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's the logical equivalent.
They're both equivalent. Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
it's
just
not. It's
different
neither
ways of saying
converse
it.
nor contrapositive nor the antithesis. It's the logical equivalency.
Yeah, I know I used the wrong word when I said antithesis, but like this game is
No,
very
it's fine. You gotta talk
specific.
proud.
This game is very specific with wording for rules. It's like Jeopardy in a way. So, just wanted to make that part clear. So now it's Kunstig's turn.
Okay. Thinking here. Let's see. There's. Okay. Let's try and do that. Nope, that's not.
How do you flip pieces like that? Is it Alt or
F.
Alt mouse wheel.
It's just like cars.
Alt mouse wheel? Okay.
Yeah, so mouse wheel by default, hands. Alt makes it pitch.
Where's my thing? Okay.
Also,
I'm,
if any other player wants to
Yes,
start,
this is correct.
that is correct. That does follow the rule. So, another guess tube. If you guys also want to start preemptively building structures, I just won't evaluate them until it gets to your turn.
Okay. How many pieces does the original, like the actual game, come with?
Not enough. I've legitimately thought
I have
about
a
buying a
feeling,
second
like, that would
copy
be the
of this
case.
game.
All right, that's it.
That is correct. That does not follow the rule. So,
Not
get a guess
all.
cube.
Okay.
All right. So, do we want one that does or does not follow the rule?
Actually, hang on. Is there a way to indicate whether or not structures actually pass the rule or not? Because,
What are you talking
like,
about?
well, all of the guesses are correct except this one, which is actually supposed to be a pass. And so, like,
I put that.
is
as
there a way
pass.
to like?
Well, like,
That
he
might
means
thought-
for record keeping. Should have like
Because,
flipped
like,
this over to a white
this-
to indicate that
Yes.
this is
Because
pass.
this guess actually
Okay.
passed. It didn't.
Yeah,
Mike thought
yeah.
it failed, but it actually passed.
Yeah, you're supposed to
Which
flip it
is-
afterwards to indicate.
Which is the problem. Which is what happened to me. Is that
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah? That is actually yeah. I was looking at the structure like okay, well that's a failing one, and then
No,
it's like,
no, you're
nah,
right. You're
that's-
right. I should have noticed that earlier. That's my bad.
Nah, that's fine.
Mm.
Okay, so yeah, so you flip the action, you put the token where it's supposed to be. Okay, cool, understood. I'd like a passing Zendo.
So we have to be so this right. I'll agree. Sure, a pass.
Sure, we'll do a passing Zendo.
All right. Passing that down.
Gosh. This does follow the rule. Let me lock it real quick. There we go. Yep. We do table talk.
Yeah, you guys can say whatever you want. Knowing full well that this is going on the internet.
I can't
Oh, but
copy. I want to copy objects, and I can't copy objects.
Well, you can, just when they're not locked, I think.
No, they're not locked. I just don't have the option to click the clone button, or the copy button, or the delete button.
I don't see any of the permissions here, so I can't really.
It'd be very convenient for you to do that.
It should be options permissions, if it has it. It's okay, so it doesn't have to be too tall. Clearly.
Is there? Could you welcome? Can you solve this permissions thing? Because that would help me a lot.
Did you look under options permissions?
Yeah,
See
I
what
already
there
saw
is?
that. I'm allowed to check table flip, contextual, scaling, locking, peeking, nudging, digital tablet, music saving, change color, change team, drawing zones, line, flickering, combining, decals, and notes.
Dumb.
I probably went through those too fast, but none of which
No,
are
yeah,
like
that's
cloning
fine.
or copying or
None of
anything
them
like that.
Okay. I want to submit my exact earlier submission, but with the 3 piles separated. So I will instruct that now. So, for intents, these are not touching each other.
Okay.
I believe this does not pass the rule. I believe that this fails the rule.
That actually does pass the rule.
Okay. Well then. Okay, I'm just gonna try. I'm gonna say this passes.
That does not pass.
Okay.
Oh, you flip it there.
Okay, I'm going to spend my cheese cube.
Okay. What's the
I'm
cheese
going
say?
to guess that the rule is that the Zendo must contain at least one piece of each color.
Correct. Yep. Nice
Actually,
job.
I saw the cheese there and thought it was a yellow block,
Lol.
and I crossed my mind. I'm like, no, it can't be that because that only has one of each. Yeah, that's a fail over there. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Okay.
Good stuff.
There's not a clean way to reset this, I don't believe.
Yes, there's.
How do
I
we
was zoomed
redo
in
it?
real close to that table. That was
It doesn't actually reset the thing's name.
Yeah, but
Oh,
he can
give me
hit
a
the button to
second.
reset it.
We could do that already.
Where did I put it? There it is. Does somebody else want to try coming up with the rule? Or do we want to do another simpler one?
I'll do one, sure.
Okay. Say it with gusto.
I know, right?
With gusto.
Sure.
Once more with feeling.
Oh, hey, it loaded properly this time. Last time the pyramid thing on the picker was just like a little dot. Confused me. Okay. Had I That okay, that didn't work. So pieces that have been like rotated
Will default to
not-
their original orientation. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
That
That
passes.
passes.
Okay.
Oh,
Quite a bit to work with.
This is weird. That would have been my exact Zendo submission as well.
I'm gonna say this does follow the rule.
Um.
My luck.
Yes.
Sweet.
You
Give me that
choose a
cheese.
really complicated rule.
No,
You
I think
didn't
I
know
know what
it.
happened. I think something about placement that it's hard to judge at a glance.
So then I chose a complicated rule.
Well, I don't know. It's just hard to implement on.
It's
TVs.
not that complicated.
No, I don't think it's complicated at all.
In all fairness, there was this one guy I played with. He said he wanted to turn to be the game master. I said, okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fine. We spent an hour and a half trying to figure out that his rule was a structure can only contain a prime number of pieces.
Oh,
Oh gosh.
And he was never game master after that again.
I believe that this passes the rule.
Yes. Wait, let me double check. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh goodness. How do I undo?
I can't believe you've done this.
How do I undo?
There are
Don't do it. Don't do it. I'll fix it.
there are benefits to playing the physical copy of this game. There are also benefits to the digital version.
Like number of
I
pieces.
could have made a much easier structure to start with that didn't require the stupid
Again, look,
tilting.
it's
okay.
an Eastern metaphor. The master dicks around, does whatever he wants, and the students just have to try to pick up the pieces. That's while trying to beat each other. That's the metaphor.
I mean, the story in the rulebook was a little bit more kosher than that, but sure.
I'm gonna do this, and it passes.
Technically, yes.
What? What do you mean technically?
Why are you surprised? You
Take
thought
a
it
cube
passed.
and be happy.
I would like to request a failing Zendo.
I agree.
Yes.
Okay. Geez, I want to like pick up and move the original one, but it's not gonna work.
There's gotta be a way to like bind
Maybe if you
together.
lock it first.
No, you can't touch it at all then.
Yeah, locking it just locks it.
Oh, that like hard positionally locks it.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
I mean, you can
it's-
unlock it
it's not-
afterwards, but
yeah, lock means like it don't move. There's not a way to like group.
Yeah, also have fun with the meeples, but they have nothing to do with the game, so we're not
Are
using
they
them as
part of
pieces.
the? Can they be part of structures?
No, we're gonna say no.
All right.
In the physical version, they're not. I really don't know why they're here in this digital version. I guess the creator who designed this one wanted
I can
them.
imagine like you put down like one cone and then 12 pawns, and then like the red pawn is the current hour. Just absurd stuff.
Easy there, Mr. Pride Numbers.
You could say one of the rules is that any rule has to be guessable.
I mean, eventually somebody got it. It was guessable. It just took too long and it was too agonizing.
Yeah, you can guess anything. This is a failing.
Yeah, he's having fun with it.
I wasn't until you said that, and then
Were you not having fun with it?
I wasn't having unfun with it. I was just doing it.
Easy there, Matt.
But then the thought that it annoyed you entertained me.
All right, so we know what kind of player Mike is.
No, it's me. It's because it's me. Think about being rivals. I have two rivals, and they're both named Mike. Now that's not really that's mostly coincidence, but it is weird that they're both named Mike.
If you had a nickel for every
also
time you had a
coincidence that
rival
it's
named
named
Mike,
person.
you'd have two nickels, which isn't very many,
No,
but it's
I've,
still weird that it happened twice.
Alright, that's a fail.
Okay. I'm not comfortable with guessing yet, so...
Oh, the dramatic downturn.
Also, no copyrighted music on the piano.
See, this one has 5 pieces, which is a prime number.
If Nate and I we can play hot cross buns if Nate and I cooperate very perfectly.
um... I'm gonna say this needs to be locked. I'm gonna say this does follow the rule. Nope. No.
Yes.
Yay. Cheese!
Cheese for everyone.
I have an idea, but I'm probably way off. That's the trap about this game. It's like, play it long enough, you kind of have a sense of what early game, mid game, and end game is. Early game is always when everybody is overconfident.
We're confident about what?
Their guess as to what the rule is. Everybody starts off by thinking, oh, I built one structure and there are 2 more structures on the table, so I absolutely know what the rule must be, and then, no.
I'd like to submit a guess.
Ooh.
There is a non-block on top of a block.
You mean a non... Oh, is it like a pyramid or
A non-block.
The non-block.
So your guess is that the rule is that
That's
there
my guess.
must be.
There must be a non-block on top of a block.
No.
Okay. do this. Say it fails.
That actually passes.
Okay.
All right, that's what you want.
I want another non.
Yeah, I would go with that as well.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, there goes my ideas.
That fails.
Boy.
I'm gonna spend a cheese in anticipation of being wrong. Structure must contain at least one vertical block.
No.
Okay.
I believe that this passes the rule.
Yes.
May I see it? No.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm gonna say that fails.
That passes.
Wah.
I didn't think this was going to be that hard.
You'd be surprised.
That's how these games go.
How many
Absolutely.
prime numbers do you have in your rule?
I just noticed both of the failing ones are primes.
Well, we have a couple of 4s though, so it's fine.
Okay, pass or fail. What do you
I
want?
would like a pass.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I would go for a pass as well.
Okay.
Man. Yeah, okay. This does follow the rule.
Yeah.
Well,
And so we're clear,
yeah.
it's block, pyramid, block, wedge.
Is the rule that only blocks are touching the ground?
No.
Hmm.
Although, that is an interesting guess.
Yeah, actually, I really like that guess.
I'm going to try. I guess this fails.
Oh no, that passes. All right, back to me. What do you want?
An easier rule. Lol.
Yes.
No. I'm okay with another failure.
I would do a failure, yeah. We've got too many passes here.
I think a pass is better personally, but not. I don't feel strongly enough.
Okay.
Okay. Failure?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Failure this time, and then if we circle around back, I'm okay with the pass.
That's a fail.
I'm gonna say this fails.
It does fail. I mean, yes, you're right.
It does fail. Okay.
It does fail. Realize that tone of voice was a little unclear at first.
No, you're good. It's just
This was a pass, right?
yes.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Which ping?
This
Yeah,
one is a pass.
that- The all red tower. Yeah, that passes.
Yeah. See, I'm having such a hard time figuring out how to do anything in this game. It's easier to falsify a hypothesis, but I have to first come up with a hypothesis that actually works. And I just can't. This branching factor is just too big. I can't assume you're even trying to help us. Like in the order.
That is correct.
build them.
There's no way
I
he's
can't
trying
even-
to help.
Yeah, there's no.
Oof.
There's zero chance he's trying
I'm
to help.
trying to like, is there a significance to the first thing he built, the second thing he built, the third? No, it can't.
No, there
I
just
can't
flat
assume that
out
there
no
is.
way.
I mean, there might be, but I can't assume it.
No, there's.
I mean, there is significance in that they do or do not follow the rule.
Oh, good lord.
I literally mentioned order.
No. There's no way.
Oh, you meant the order of when they were.
Yeah,
No.
I said order. Yeah, yeah. Keep thinking like, is which colors are penetrating another color important? I think that's true. It's just
I don't.
every hypothesis, every possible rule I've come up with has been falsified by some example, and it's.
Well, that's the
hard.
point of the game. Is that
I know it's
you
just really
put
hard
down
to perceive.
examples.
No, it's not. Well, you didn't understand what I said.
You put down examples to determine. You try to narrow it down.
I'm just saying it's hard because I'm coming up with hypotheses that are being falsified. That's all I said.
Why does it make it harder?
I'm not gonna bother engaging in that conversation anymore. I got 4 pyramids. I believe this passes the rule.
Yes.
Okay. I think this fails.
Yes. Wait, what are you doing?
Trying to lock it, and it said it was already locked, but it wasn't.
Well, here, take your cheese.
Could you submit a pass, Mike?
Yep, I agree.
Let's see. Yeah. That's... I'll try to get. Maybe.
Maybe not. I'm not gonna go,
Maybe not. Oh, jeez.
You couldn't even get this sentence out. I recently watched a number file video about the confirmation bias, which had a very similar premise to this. Of, like, someone has a rule, you submit a guess to try to guess the rule. And I realized that just made it way harder because now I'm overthinking it.
Yep. This is the game of overthinking.
Yeah, it's not a good game for me as a chronic overthinker.
Okay, so that passes.
He keeps having penetrative examples, and I
But
don't
the first
know if that
one
matters.
wasn't.
I know, that's why it's so confusing, Nick, because it wasn't, but like, he keeps giving examples. I
Well, and
feel
also
like he
the,
learned that
the
they could.
third one
I feel
wasn't
like he learned that
either.
they could like go into each other, and he's like, I gotta make every example. I gotta do this now.
Maybe.
And I mean, who can blame him, right? It's fun to get in there.
Um. Okay, come on, you can do this. This does follow the rule.
Yeah.
Okay.
Way.
This man's just hoarding cheese over here.
I'm not trying to. It just kind of
Yeah,
works out
I
that way.
don't have many guesses at all.
I'm gonna submit a guess.
Okay.
Mhm.
The only pieces that can be sideways are supported by the ground.
No.
That's actually a really good guess, though. Kunzig, what are you thinking?
I'm still analyzing.
No, you're good. You're good. Take your time.
Makes sense there either. really doesn't seem like the orientation matters in any way.
Let's see. So, we can essentially rule out colors. We can rule out number of pieces.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can roll out colors and numbers.
I'm not too sure on shapes, but so far so good.
I mean, you've done a lot of stacking examples. Some
Well,
of
we've
them
also
pass,
done
which don't.
examples of not stacking.
Yeah, the not stacking ones have been pretty successful.
I know, but I'm looking at what he's done, not what you've done.
Fair.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure he's just messing with us.
I don't think so, based on his response to the query earlier about that exact thing. I'm sure he's got a dopey grin on his face right now, though.
I'm not so sure. I can't tell if it's dopey or not.
Oh, it's very dopey. He's yellow over here with a giant dopey grin on his face.
Oh, it's the face I wear every time you guys try to solve my D&D puzzles.
Look, it's the voice chat version of that, where I'm not even trying to hide the look on my face, but I'm just hiding.
It's implied.
Just resisting the temptation to laugh into the push to talk key.
To laugh openly into our faces, yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know why this one fails. And I guessed it would fail because it was part of, well, it was similar to this one over here. But I don't know why. Okay, I'll try it. I'll just try this. I say that fails.
It does fail. Okay, you wanna? What do you want?
You freaking end me. I'll take a pass. I don't know, dude.
I'm indifferent for this one.
Yeah, I'll do a pass.
Sure, pass is fine.
Okay.
So, Josh, I know
Yeah, bud.
that this has been quite the experience so far. Would you be willing to try and be a rule master next round, or are you just kind of calling it quits after this?
I mean, yeah, I'll give it a try. I mean, I'm trying to be.
Okay.
I'm trying to be like, I guess, supportive of the experiment. You know, I just.
Yeah.
Based on my experiences with the with Mysterium and the detective one, I felt like this would be too abstract, too subjective for my taste in games. I like a more iterative problem-solving approach where I can kind of more see where the approach goes. I just like I stare down like the breadth of possible solutions, and if I can't like narrow them down, it just is like, well, it's too overwhelming to me.
Sure. Yeah, I completely respect that.
I mean, it's like I think this came out during Summer Feast when we were doing the detective one.
Oh, I should have
It
put
was
it
like,
with the
if we
other
don't
passes to group it.
if we don't iteratively
It's
cross
fine.
off possibilities, I don't actually even know how to play that game. Like, I don't even know how to make progress in that game, you know, and it just feels very similar. It's like, there's just too many
Alright.
different possibilities.
Let's pass.
So
Alright, we've got still only sideways blocks?
No, there's a blue, the one that's upright.
It's only sideways blocks.
That is the only things that are sideways are blocks.
Yes,
That's
that's what I said. I mean, the tough part is that one of my guesses could have been like a hair's breadth away from the actual right wording. There's no way to know. But nobody else has guessed.
Well, right, because guessing doesn't help.
Yes, it does. It ends it.
Yeah, I'm willing. Like, if we want to cooperate, I have 4 cubes that I don't really care about winning this one at this point. I'm willing to.
I mean, I've not actually
Sorry,
been
Mike.
trying to win. I've just been trying to figure out anything.
I know, but like, it just slapping something down, I don't know if it really helps. I think you gotta have a hypothesis and then try to falsify it to actually try to learn something new.
Well, that's what I've been doing.
Like,
I've
actually
not been
have to
just
have a
randomly.
hypothesis. You
Yeah,
had
I've
a
been
success-
having hypotheses when I built
You had
my
it.
thing.
Okay, you've had successful rules. Okay.
I mean, these have been. I've not been making very complicated structures because I want to iterate.
That's true.
Well,
Which is why I don't like Mike's structures because they're over.
well, the problem is that like the simple ones could totally just miss. Like they could just totally miss by like not actually engaging with one of the things the rule engages with, right?
Well, yeah,
if
and
the
that's
rule-
why I tried something different.
I suppose. But like if the rules about
Each one of these,
cones-
I've tried a different thing.
Yeah.
So like some of these have been like number guesses, and some of them have been color guesses, and some of them have been like orientation based. And
Yeah, but like it could have been that it's the right, like you started going down the right path, of iteration, and then switched to a different path, and that's the trouble with it. You don't actually know whether you got closer.
well, I can always go back.
I know, but there's no way to know whether you should, because no one knows how close they are. Is the big thing.
I guarantee I'm really far.
I feel it the same.
Well, it's Steve's turn, right?
Yeah, I just don't know what to do.
I keep looking at sideways blocks, and it's like we're this example away from only yellow sideways blocks as an answer, as a possible rule. Or wait, no, not at this.
Nah.
That doesn't work.
I mean, see, you played this before. Like, what's a good strategy here? Is it just like slap in another guess, try to get more information? Is it or build another Zendo, try to get one another data point? Is it slap a guess out there? Like, what's a good strategy here? Like, are we in the end game yet?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so what's the strategy for the end game?
Guess the correct rule.
I've looked in the future and guessed 2 million different possibilities.
And how many of them were right?
None of them.
Hey, of all people to get that reference, you knew it would be me.
Can you imagine? You just like, we don't win any of them, and you just see like Benadryl cucumber bun just
Roll
like break down
credits.
crying, just start crying as it
The
plays the
Seinfeld
Curb Your
theme.
Enthusiasm music. Oh boy.
Is it? Oh, it can't be that.
Only one, but it was the Ant-Man thing, and we're not gonna do that. Everyone's like, agreed. We're not gonna do that.
I guess we could say, like, if we all want to swallow our pride and just kind of pass, then Mike can reveal
Bro,
the
I'll
rule.
capitulate. I got absolutely nothing. I've thrown my hat in. I've thrown my bullet.
Yeah,
Just gonna give up.
I don't know, bro.
I don't
like,
want to, but I don't know what else to do.
I have
I'm too
no other
stupid for
guesses
this.
I can really do. You keep making these complicated structures over here.
If you want to just pass it back to me, I can.
I don't want to blame Mike. I'm not ready to do that. Not until we know what the rule was. But I feel like I don't have a way forward.
I as well. I do not have. I mean, I have some more iterations I can do, but like, I don't think they're going the right way.
I've realized how tremendously impactful the in Mastermind, like getting more feedback than just you were right, you were wrong.
Yes, that's extremely
Is-
important in that game.
Yeah, I didn't like when I read about this game briefly from the descriptive last time Steve mentioned it. I thought, okay, it seemed kind of like Mastermind. I have a pretty good Mastermind strategy. I can probably adapt it to this, but how crucially important the richer feedback mechanism is. Well, to the strategy I'd prepared for Mastermind, at least. I don't know how. I guess I had to formulate a new one for Zendo, but
Yeah,
So what do we do?
I'm ready to.
I've thrown in my
eventually
hat.
give up. I'm ready.
Like completely, or are you just gonna pass the round back to me for another?
I
It's
mean,
like, I can try to give you something more helpful.
Sure,
I mean,
we'll
yeah,
try.
I would
We'll
like.
try that.
I would like a helpful
I
structure.
would like you to help. Oh my gosh. I feel like that's basically the same as just saying we're giving up.
I mean, if you built like, if he were to iterate, that would be a little bit more helpful.
But there's too many dimensions upon which to iterate.
Yeah, but he knows
Okay,
which
okay,
dimension
okay.
to iterate on.
Pass, fail.
Yeah, but we'd have to figure it out.
Do you want to pass? Do you want to fail?
I'm ready to. Oh, give me a,
Do
give
a
me a
pass.
example.
Give me a
Sure.
pass.
You
Yes.
pass? Okay.
I don't know if this is the right actual strategy, asking for passes, but I don't know any better at this point.
But I would want to fail next time.
I'm having a hard time thinking on demand in competition. I think is.
I've not been competing at all. This has just been me trying to group effort it. So if you're trying to compete it, I think that's the wrong
I
way to
probably
play this
should have
game.
just been like, swallow the pride and just do that.
That's a pass.
It's a pass.
That's a pass.
Okay, so like if you compare this is most closely to the two over here and one of Steve's. Like from what I'm looking at, that is the closest to those. These were all fails, but this one passed.
Okay.
So
Your
what's
example, Nate, that
different
failed
here?
has blue cone or a blue pyramid on top of a yellow pyramid, so we can't
Well,
have
so
anything
does
to do
his.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think
Um.
you can't have something to do that because they have different results.
Correct. Now, the difference here
All
is
of the
that they
double-
contain different shapes rather than the same
Double
shape.
stacks have failed. Or wait, no. All the
What do you mean by double
more than
stack?
double stacks have failed. All the more than double stacks have failed. There's nothing else that has a 3 stack that has succeeded.
What do you mean about these ones here?
Like well, that's a stacks in terms of things that are actually they're in shapes inside one another. It's like stacks on top of this would be a 5 stack, and that would be a 3 stack. Like I view this as like
nesting.
yeah.
So this is a double nest, and this is a triple nest,
well, yeah.
and this is
which
a single
kind?
nest.
Yeah. There's anything more than a single nest is failed.
But also, this one had no nesting.
Yep.
This one has one nest. And this one also has one nest. So I have a feeling nesting is not.
I don't believe it's...
I don't think it's related to nesting.
No.
And I don't.
Because
don't
Mike
think
built
it's
his
colored
first
this.
structure without any nesting.
Correct.
Yeah, but if the
So-
rule was like no more than one nest, like I don't know, we can't presume an order to the hints.
Right. Yes.
We can't even presume that they'd be helpful.
Well, I'm fairly certain that most of these were unhelpful, and only this one here, this last one was the first helpful one he tried.
I'm willing to give Mike a little bit more credit than that.
Yeah, I'm not.
Maybe
I'm
these
not,
are the
I'm
two
not,
over here, but like
I'm not
these
that eager
definitely were not.
to slam the master. I mean, like, it's definitely like, students like getting together. Yo, this guy sucks.
I mean, I'm not saying it sucked. I'm just saying he just was clearly not attempting to provide helpfulness.
They
He was
very
just-
clearly do or do not follow the rule in an extremely straightforward manner.
Yes, because they have a pass-fail token in front of them. I understand how the game works.
Yes.
I'm being sarcastic, of course.
It's okay, I think he was too.
I mean, he chuckled there. So. Okay.
I'm gonna say that does follow the rule.
There, Mike.
Not so straightforward now.
Yes.
Okay.
What are you cooking with, Steve?
Cheese. Apparently.
It's gonna block me up for days.
So, what was your idea behind that one?
I probably did too many variations, but I knew that... How do I ping?
Tab.
Tab? Okay. Yeah, so I knew that this one was a pass. I knew that this was a pass, so I figured, okay, I'll go from there, knowing that, standalone wedges kind of have some sort of passing history. Then I was kind of playing with numbers a little bit. Instead of 4, I wanted to do 3. Then I wanted to throw an extra color in there to the mix, but that's about the extent of it. That it really wasn't a good strategy. Thankfully nobody actually watches my videos. I can imagine somebody being like, oh my gosh, I knew this rule the entire time. It was so obvious.
Everyone, comment down below what the rule is and how stupid we are.
Oh, I am very stupid. I fully admit that.
Gotta boost engagement on your YouTube videos.
Be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe if you think
Like
we're
and subscribe.
dumbasses.
Welcome back to episode 42 of They Just Still Haven't Gotten It Yet.
And
Still the
overnight I get
same
500
one.
subscribers.
Like the table's filled with shapes.
The one game of Zendo, yeah, 42 episodes, bang them out, 20 minutes each, fully monetized.
And Mike thought this would be an easy one.
I mean, honestly, it probably is.
Okay, I at the very, very, very beginning thought it would be easy, and then very quickly realized, oh, this is actually.
I can tell you whether or not this would have been an easy, medium, or hard rule at the end of it, because there are easy rules that still stump me.
I am initiating a surrender vote.
Surrender vote.
I'm initiating a surrender vote. Putting to the team.
Well,
Will the Titan
I'd like to
will we
see
destroy our own
one
Titan?
more fail from him.
Okay.
And if that doesn't help at all, then I would
I'll abide by the team.
So Josh is doing auto skip.
You don't want to at least like make a guess?
Well, Nate said he wants to see another failure. That's fine with me. Sure. I
okay
feel like I
with
got
that.
better things to do right now.
You can at least make a guess.
No, he can't.
He can't hear. There you go. Now you can have a piece of cheese.
No, I meant a guess as in a structure guess.
Well, yeah, I could, but
It's
like
information either way.
I know it is. I just don't think I'll be able to pick the right dimension upon which the rule actually resides. Right, like the vector. Like I'm trying to. I'm gonna pick one such that the dot product of my guess is just 0.
All right, so we're just skipping to another
I know
thing
that's a
within
really
the-
weird
Yes, I
abstract
wanna
metaphor to
see
make, but to
one
those
failure.
failure.
to the lucky viewer downstairs who saw it, comment down below and tell me how you understood my dot product reference. That one was for you.
The one viewer I don't have yet.
Hey, he'll be there and he's gonna comment. That was for me. I got it. If you like videos like this, check out my YouTube channel for nothing like this and 2 videos.
To be fair, I have a lot of videos on my channel. Okay, actually, this is interesting.
So that fails. So
Another bloody
it's
penetrating-
very similar to the one that passed in like the composition, except it has an extra yellow pyramid.
The order of the pyramids changed.
Yes.
I'm not sure color matters when we have based on Steve's earlier earlier guess.
There's something we can do with this though, since it is my turn, technically. This does follow the rule.
I see, that's some smart thinking. But no, it does not.
Okay, that's fine by me.
What makes it smart thinking?
Because he's trying my
I
the fail
eliminated
example, but
the new
with
variable.
-1.
Yes.
He's
He
iterating
found
through
all the
examples.
differences between
In
them.
fairness,
And
we did that whenever we had the option of making a reasonably replicable Zendo.
Yeah, and we just
yes,
didn't.
like
We tried.
that's
we
what I was
tried to
getting
do
at.
that.
Like these,
While we
these
had
were
a
clearly not
replicable
helpful.
Zendos, we tried that, and then it was like I can't possibly tweak that puppet, like all these puppets.
Right. Okay, so like,
Alright, so Josh, are you still on auto skip?
I mean, I'm waking up every now and then, but like I just
You waking up to ash and dust?
wait,
yeah.
Inside. Wake me up inside.
I can't wake up. So this failed. Does color
yes,
matter?
it failed.
Does nesting matter? Like we think
Something
that,
matters.
Oh, obviously, something matters.
I wasn't
Okay,
gonna.
fair.
I was gonna
The
let
rule
that one
is
go.
there is no rule.
Oh,
nothing
I'd be so
matters.
triggered. The rule is it's pass. It's a fail at the bottom half of the hour. He always passes to the left and the bottom. Support in the bottom half of the hour.
We cracked the code.
Sorry,
Sir Digby
Zendo.
Chicken Caesar.
When the master fails, that makes sense. And the master's going to say, who's going to stand up for the little guy?
Obviously me and my adventures of Sir Digby Chicken Caesar.
Okay, I've got a
Next episode for 20 more guesses.
I've got a guess.
Sure, you'll get it eventually.
A rule guess.
All right. Spend one of your
I'm gonna
cheese
spend one of the
hoard.
cheeses I gave to Josh.
I'll generate a cheese.
My guess is that blue pyramids cannot have anything on top of them.
But we
Good
have,
guess, but no.
unfortunately, we have that example.
Oh, we do have that. Crap, I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
and I will admit, I jumped on you because you jumped on me, and my pride got hurt, and I wanted to put it back on you, and I shouldn't have, but I did it anyway. I'm gonna try to make up for it by putting a hat on it now, but it's not actually better. So
Okay. What's your next example? What do you want?
I gave you. Here's a hat.
Um,
I'll put a hat on your cheese.
it's a script. It's a script writing term. I learned it from Stargate.
It's a symbolic hat.
It's a script writing term. It's when like something stupid happens in a show, but then the writer tries to make up for that by having a character in the fiction mention how stupid it is, as though that somehow excuses it. That's
That's like the Futurama strategy.
Yes.
Except they're actually good at it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
What do you want?
To be honest, I want to just roll.
oh boy.
How good you
Oh
saw
boy.
that? That was like
Well.
90% for the joke.
Okay, well,
Because I
come on,
wasn't
pass
actually
it
sure.
then.
I got nothing, bro. I have
I'm
nothing.
not asking you.
Absolutely-
I know your
Cool,
brain's
thanks.
fried.
Just, I just don't feel like I can. I also feel like this is doable for me. I don't know if it's like time of day or what, but it just.
I think he picked a bad rule. Is what I'm thinking.
I don't know. I'm still not sure.
Particularly for the second
Alright.
game of this, I think it was a bad rule.
By their fruits you shall know them. I'll judge you at the end after I know the rule.
Honestly, yeah, that's how I'm viewing it. Because like
So-
maybe it's a simple rule.
Okay, so
where
what
all
do the
it
two
is-
remaining players think? Pass or fail? What do you want?
I'll take.
I'm not actually playing Wilton. I just booted up for the joke. Like,
I know. It's okay.
I mean, I wouldn't blame you at this point.
I was asked to play this game. I'm gonna see it through.
Are we calling it? Kunzig?
I can call it.
Are we throwing the hats in?
What's going on?
Alright, give me a rule that does not follow the rule. Or a structure that does not follow the rule.
Give me a rule. Just give us
me
a new
rule
rule,
that doesn't
please.
follow the rule.
a new rule.
What do you guys think about phrenology?
I think it's an interesting word. I wish I knew what it meant.
Phrenology is the idea that
Heck, Josh.
I'm just trying to come up with something. I want to talk about phrenology.
It's the
Our
old
viewer will
timey.
appreciate it.
It's the old timey racism thing where they measured people's skulls.
It's not. That's not what it is. No, it's the idea that you can like there are bumps on people's heads and you can determine like things about their brain and their biochemistry based on that. So like, you ever see those old timey like drawings of like the different regions of the skull and like this part of the brain indicates like compulsiveness and then this part of the brain or part of the skull. So you examine their heads and then can glean things about them. I don't believe it had any racial overtones.
It was very, very well associated with
Oh, well.
racist stuff about. Well, you can probably assume.
Well, I'm glad we brought it up because now I learned something.
Oh, okay. Tabletop Sim does not let me do the thing I want to do. I wanted it to penetrate sideways. Doesn't allow it.
Copy.
Is there like a group option?
It's not. What is?
Oh, that's it's lagging for me.
No, there's not a group option. I was looking for that.
You can save objects, I guess. That's not really.
Okay, I wanted it to sit on the flat side of the pyramid or triangle, but it doesn't matter. I could. Okay, so this
What?
fails.
This fails.
Okay,
Okay.
that fails. Um,
We're gonna say same structure except as yours, except it's all green.
green.
Green, yellow, whichever. I'm gonna say it passes.
It does.
Okay.
Okay, so color is just out of the. Unless it's really complicated color.
Well,
But-
wait, wouldn't color have to matter?
Oh, okay. It just okay. Never mind. He's passed.
Okay, hang on. So we have color matters
That's
with
a
these
fail,
two
and that's a-
pieces.
Yes.
And then we have color doesn't matter with these two pieces. So there's something that slices between those two seeming contradictions.
Yes.
I think and it's not yellow pieces on the ground because we already have some examples of other stuff. It's not yellow blocks.
You just skip right over Josh's turn again.
I'm just preparing my turn.
I'm not bothering to submit. I
Okay.
just want to.
Well, that does pass.
Okay.
So I guess technically it's back to me again.
Yes.
Okay.
Um.
We'll do one that passes.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but there's also a lot of passes here. Hmm. That passes. So it's very. It really seems color based.
It probably is color based, honestly.
It's not strictly color based. It has to be something else, because
Or well, it's colored like. It's a color. It's more than just color, but like it's.
Yeah.
Core color is the core of it.
yeah, we know color is a dimension that features in it. But it's not colors in contact with each other because we have examples of each of those rules being broken already.
Right. I was thinking like stuff can't stack on either of them, but like that, I think we've. Well, like let's see, there were some examples over here that really knocked that out early on for me. So I don't know.
I'm looking through exclusion of colored pieces, certain piece combinations.
Yeah, I saw those earlier, and it doesn't seem like exclusion thing,
It
but
doesn't bother me if I don't get
it's
this
an
right.
exclusion thing. There's an extra bit on it.
Come on, man.
I'm realizing actually how impactful taking the AI course in college has been to my worldview. Because I'm thinking through like all this stuff, like, all right, what's the, just like the way I think about thinking,
There we go.
the way I try to approach problem solving in general is very influenced by principles from that course.
By spending tens of hours studying Hanabi.
I mean, that was a very elucidating experience, yes. But also
This-
Sudoku, because I used to do Sudoku a lot at, like, if I was eating lunch at school, like alone, I would just
That
keep
passes.
Sudoku, and then
Okay.
I wrote a Sudoku AI, and then realized that when I next tried to play Sudoku, I was just doing the AI in my brain, and it wasn't fun anymore. Okay, so that passes.
I used to do a lot of Sudokus on the plane, back and forth.
Got nothing else to do on the plane.
Okay, so
Well, it's either that or like read some garbage manga or something.
these
Isn't
are probably
Sudoku
the
just
most.
garbage manga?
Yeah, but you gotta like paint the picture yourself instead of relying on the mangaka.
And yeah, I get what Josh means, because when you do get into it, Sudoku is very procedural.
Yeah.
Just marking
even
like
thinking
what
through-
can possibly be in this spot, this spot, this spot, this spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
The constraint satisfaction problems are what really got me when I was like, oh my gosh, this is just every puzzle game is just iterating through a CSP algorithm.
But anyway, what were we saying?
Alright, so these 4 examples that I've drawn lines across, I think are actually the most elucidating pieces that we gotta try to understand why 3 of those passed and 1 of them didn't.
So it's clearly color based.
Could you do a blue
Right.
tower with the red topple tower?
I can do that. Blue tower. So
Yeah, blue
blue pyramid
shape,
on blue
and then,
block.
It's just everything blue. I think is that what you said?
No, and then the red sideways.
Oh, red. Sorry.
You want a red sideways block and a red sideways wedge.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Basically the same structure, except
I believe that this will fail.
That passes.
Pass. Okay.
Also, referring, it took us a long time to get to the point where we just don't care about neatness anymore. And we're just slapping them.
Well, I was trying to get that right from the very beginning with intent, but I realized that there's no way to do that without hinting too much.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't. Yeah, if you have to make it such that the rule states it has to be so specific, then that's a bad rule. So,
I'm always getting the ruler out.
I'm just trying.
gosh, oh, they have to be 2 centimeters apart from each other,
I mean,
Are your red
and
pieces
facing
within
in a
shot
westerly
range of my blue pieces?
the intent stuff was born out of Warhammer. Full admission is, but like that's how you have to play that kind of stuff. When like you could be real anal about like measuring all this crap, or you could just like look at the other human being in the eye and say, "This is what I'm trying to do," and the other person says yes, and then like it doesn't matter where things are in the real world. You have established perfect communication about the situation you're trying to represent.
All right, Nate, your turn.
Yeah, I don't know what to iterate with this.
Still got cheese, right?
Do.
Right.
I do, but like I
I mean,
don't know
I'll
what
just
to
make
use
it
this
cheese.
cheese for.
Like, I believe we've thrown all pretense of the rules to the wind.
Well, like I said at the beginning, this is house rules. So if we
We're
just
just
want to
adding
ignore
more
the
as we
cheese, just
go.
go for it.
Okay, blue. This is red.
I think we're all just too prideful to give up at this point. We've invested so
No,
much
don't
into
put
this
me in
one.
there. Don't group me in that category.
I mean, I'm not. I want to say it's pride. It's just I would like to know what it is.
But we could know, like we
I
could.
want
Yeah,
to see you guys figure it out.
I would've
would
figured it
have
out
like
too,
just
but-
tell us, but if you guys want to, I don't want to be like the.
Like,
I
it's
don't
no
want to.
fun if he just tells us, but it's also no fun if he doesn't help us.
The last bunch of examples I've tried to make specifically.
Correct.
No, no,
I know.
I think the
I
last
know.
few
Look, all right, look, and
Yes.
like, all
And
right,
that's
if
why
the group-
I'm more enjoying these past couple rounds than I was like these 6.
Yeah, really. This crescent moon of
Well, okay,
Year's
just-
Edge
yes.
Imperial Rome that you built.
Alright, alright,
over.
look,
okay,
we're
I
gonna
got
try
a
to
little
do this. We're
extravagant with
actually,
some of them, but some of
if we're
these
gonna try to
earlier
solve
ones were
this-
also good.
if we're gonna try to solve this, then let's actually try to. Let's the three of us try to put our heads together and try to figure this out.
Yeah, well, that's what I've been trying to do.
Well, no, I've been trying to initiate a conversation and not met with much. So, what do we got as far as the differences here between these 5 pieces? I think this is. We got
Well,
5 successes here of the same orientation, just different colors.
correct.
And I think
So it
that we can be
has-
confident. Can we be confident in saying that the color is the only delta between these things?
Yeah, I would say that's yes.
Insofar as we built them, yes.
I mean,
Okay.
if
We
if
can't-
Mike
we
thinks
can't
there's
go-
actually a different delta, then he's wrong.
That's
No,
that's
the position,
crucial part.
the
That's the
micro
crucial part, is that
positioning
we-
of stuff is not different at all.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
like,
another crucial
if-
piece of this. Is that
I'm not counting that at all.
Yes.
Okay, thank
Then
you.
clearly the color
Black
is
box
It's
the
too
only
late for this
difference.
crap. Alright, so green
So it
topple towers are
Being yellow.
they look so green on my screen.
They do look green, especially when they're next to a blue.
how already have your flux up?
Yeah,
I got my flux pretty high up, and it's
I got darn.
a little
baby.
green. Oh yeah, full
is
piss
that
filter.
why you keep thinking in RDI everything's piss yellow? Because you have flux on.
No, because he can tell when you change the HDR. Like, it's got to be something with his graphics card, like actually using environmental lighting. I just couldn't find a setting in here for it.
I mean, I do have flux constantly on extremely aggressive
Oh,
fluorescent level.
that's disgusting.
Fluorescent level? Fluorescent is
Well,
pretty
when
good.
you, because when you go to the flux settings, it like measures it, and it like gives.
Fluorescent is relatively blue on the spectrum.
Or
Okay, so these ones have the red standing tower doesn't
Halogen.
have anything to do with it.
340k halogen.
Sideways tower doesn't have anything to do with it. I don't know what to... I mean, like, the only...
I mean, I'm at
Yeah.
2400k right now.
No, it doesn't make any sense either. Blue is... Blue side.
I keep
Like,
looking at some
okay.
stuff and then it's doesn't.
Well,
jive
yeah,
with
that's
other
what
things
I'm
we have on the
so,
board.
like. So clearly, the red tower has nothing to do with it, and the blue sideways tower has nothing to do with either. But there must be, if they do have something to do with it, then there's something else that is also required.
Well, we have all of our examples have the same color tower and the same color toppered tower.
Correct. That is the
information
similarity
we're lacking.
between all of them.
Yeah. So I'll submit.
Oh,
the
it's
master
Nate's
judge.
turn.
I don't care. I'm gonna do a
Got him.
toppled wedge. So a tower of.
Interesting. I like it.
Then a red one, yeah.
Yeah. As soon as I can. It's like ball.
So,
Oh my
Oh.
gosh. Come on. Let
you
me,
can
let me
alt
topple
it,
you.
yeah.
Topple you, boy.
It's fine. I get what you're trying.
Yes. Oh, just okay.
Let me just.
So what
let
do
me
you
knock
think?
down?
The one time the game is not supposed to defy gravity, it does.
Let me just knock down the towers, 2001 style. Alright, I think this passes.
That
Boy.
fails.
Okay.
Awesome. Steve, there's a Dota 2 hero called Nature's Prophet, and he turns trees into little like animated tree ants.
Mhm.
He's known as a split pushing kind of rat based hero, so you like run around and knock down, like take down all the towers and stuff.
Mhm.
And very annoying to play against. And one of the funniest pieces of Dota parody that ever created was a rap that Aperion Flex that featured the line "bushes" in regards to
Oh
the
boy.
tree ants knock down the towers.
Uh-huh.
Bushes
Uh-huh.
knock
Yeah,
down the towers.
I'm sure that's what they
was-
were going for.
It's exactly what he's going for. He drew it. Like it's exactly what he's going. It's a piece of Dota parody. It wasn't like a part of the Dota lore, but someone made a song complaining about Tree Ant Protector that featured
Alright, well,
that
anyway, you guys have made 3
absolute
passes
witty
between you.
piece of
Do you want
glorious
another
wit.
example?
Sure, whatever.
Yeah, we'll go for another one like this.
Yeah, no, I don't actually
Another one
think
like
of
this,
one.
like, demanding of the master, you have to comply.
You must comply.
Technically,
Well,
he
if
doesn't
it doesn't apply,
have
we
to,
don't play.
but
Ed 209 style, present example.
Okay. What do I want to actually do? I don't know. Oh, wait. Do you want to pass or fail? Fail ask.
Whatever you want, and then just specify.
I don't know which one I want.
let's do a failure, because
Okay,
all the
good.
ones that we put down are basically passes.
Okay.
Except for the one Josh literally just put down.
Just put down, yeah, but
Yeah, go for another fail. Oh, he keeps changing it up.
hold on. Okay, yeah, it's changing it up.
Of course, it's going to change it up.
I tried to be optimistic.
That fails.
Okay.
I'm spending
we'll
more time
compare
thinking
it
about
to
whether
the
or
one
not
next to it.
passing or failing is more helpful than I am trying to think of the actual rule.
I mean, it really depends.
Is it my
on
turn?
What is there?
Sure,
There's no such thing as turns.
All right, Mike.
Give you 3.
It's Mike's turn.
All right, Mike.
Hmm?
It cannot have any red pieces above blue pieces.
Yes.
Hey,
Well
that
done,
took way too long.
I had a lot of trouble with the first few examples you guys gave. Where I was like, wait, hold on. What if they're at the same? Like, what if they're at the same height?
What does above mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why that's I don't know.
But, oh,
I sit on Steve. Good job.
I thought you were gonna like inspect them.
I was.
Well, I was trying to.
It's going on the internet. All right, Josh, you want to come up with a rule?
Sure, I'll do that. Okay, let me ask you this question: what does a good round of Zendo look like?
Not that.
One that didn't take several hours.
Something like what we just did, except a little bit shorter.
Well,
I would say
the
there's
latter
obviously
quarter
more
of the what we did was a better round.
Okay.
Oh yeah. By the
There's
way,
obviously
Steve,
more
was,
to it
was
than
that a
just
hard
not what
one
we did.
or not?
Cannot have
Your
any.
evaluation of easy, medium, and hard rules.
I would say that's more of the rule itself. I would call a medium rule. The problem is usually when a rule like that does exist, like you cannot have X piece on top of Y piece, but usually when they do that, it's directly on top. Like you've had
Yeah.
structures where it's like you had like what was the rule? You can't have red on top of blue. You've had blue, green, red as opposed to blue, red. If there wasn't any green that was kind of intersecting in between them,
Oh,
then
that's
it would have been a little bit
okay.
easier. But
I was just
technically,
counting,
that's a
like,
medium rule.
the highest point of each piece compared to each
Yeah,
other.
I would say if it has
Like
to do
elevation,
with
not direct position on top of elevation.
yeah, well, I would say if it has to be very specific that height, like if these pieces weren't all the same size, then because they're not when you lay them sideways.
So like that
I
would
would-
fail because the red piece is
Right.
taller.
That I
Yeah.
don't.
Where's
That's
the
not
origin of the
good.
block for the
Exactly.
Yeah, that's-
If
No,
you
it's-
have to go for that, that's not.
Well, it's about the height. The highest height of the red piece is taller than the highest height of the blue piece.
Technically the truth,
Yes.
but
But that's gauging something in a virtual world that we don't actually. We
But
can't
the
really
pieces
rely
are
on.
uniform.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's okay. So let's try to break this down a little bit. So that was a two-dimensional rule, right? It was a color dimension and a height dimension, right?
yes.
We had
Yes.
of all the guesses that were guessed, there were only two guesses that were also two-dimensional guesses.
I was going
I
for
put-
a bunch of. Well, I wasn't stating two-dimensional guesses, but I was going for two-dimensional guesses.
Well, no, I'm just trying to get something to measure. Steve, what was your first rule when you were the master?
Must contain at least one of each color, or like all colors must be present. There's a lot of ways to word that, but
Yeah. Okay, so that's a one-dimensional clue or one-dimensional rule. Okay.
so I mean,
I would just
so
go for
to
a
give you-
one-dimensional one for now.
To-
I mean,
give you-
it's noteworthy though that the prime number thing is also a one-dimensional rule.
Yeah. Also, in
But it varies.
In the official game,
Oh.
it does give you like starter rules that you can use based on varying difficulty. There is a rule in the game that says, and I quote, "A structure must be worth X amount of points, where a pyramid is 1 point, a wedge is 2 points, and a block is 3
God.
points."
Why is that a thing?
Because some
this is a-
people
This is a tremendously
hate other
abstract
humans.
game, and you can do that. Like, that, there's no limit to the how
Yes, but
absolute
why?
bonkers you can get to.
There
Why
is
would
also
anyone do that?
there is
'Cause
also
it might be
in
euphoric to guess that successfully.
That
in
would
the
not
same
be,
category,
even
there
if
is
I guessed
also
that
a
correctly, I
rule-
would not. I would not be satisfied.
in the same category as that, there is also a rule called, I think it's called a jail cell rule, where a structure must have all of its hollow openings exposed.
No, that would be reasonable, because that's very
Uh,
clear.
Well, think of how many dimensions you're gonna start trying to explore before you think you should go down that one.
I mean, that was stuff I was exploring. You were going nesting. That's the same
Yeah,
vein.
no, I completely
Fundamentally,
agree.
yes.
Like, that's where we'll end up. But like,
You were guessing nesting very early on.
I'm
I
not-
will give to Mike's credit,
Yeah, I
we
know.
were absolutely overthinking everything.
I'm a maniac, Steve. Like, I'm not gonna like, not.
I mean,
I wasn't
I
saying
was
that
guessing the
it's reasonable or
same
not.
the same vein of rule, but I was assuming that the things on the same level would be on the same level versus
Sure.
Mike was saying it was the height, which I was thinking that would be out of bounds of a rule.
I don't see how that's ambiguous at all. It's like You just
Because
look at
it's
it,
so
there's pieces
difficult
higher
to
up.
stack them.
But
I mean, I don't know if I can judge yet whether or not it's a hard rule or not. I think that
I didn't say it was hard. It was an easy rule. It just
we spent
wasn't.
most of the last game blaming him.
I said it wasn't a good rule. It's a rule that doesn't really work well in virtual tabletop.
It can.
pretty easy to pan your
Honestly,
camera down
because
and get a shallow look at it.
Mike could have done the exact same thing with the physical pieces. Balancing would have been a little bit trickier, I guess, but like he did not do anything that you couldn't do in the physical version of the game, so like that's perfectly valid.
Let me ask you a question. How many
anything's
copies of
valid.
the game's worth of pieces would we have used in that last round?
At least 2, probably closer to 3.
Okay.
At least 20.
But what we do in that case, if we're doing the physical game, we all of the students would tell the master, okay, we don't need these of your structures anymore. Tear them down for new pieces. That's why I like the digital version, at least, because we don't have to do that.
But yeah, that is. I think that is the benefit of the virtual one. That and we could be not next to each other.
Not
So you don't
punching
throw
each
anything
other
at
over
anybody?
rules.
Yeah, so we're not punching Mike in the face.
Okay. Gosh, I'm not. I don't blame him. Like, I'm not gonna say it's a bad rule. I'm just not that. Just not like.
No, I don't think it was a bad rule. I think, like, with my experience with the game, there are other structures that could have been built that would have made it easier to find the rule. Like, the fact that he was throwing
complex on the first couple.
For the first couple, yes, but then, like, because there was green thrown in between each of them, and I think it's like, okay, here's the way to put it. Usually the rule is you cannot have X piece on top of Y piece, as opposed to above.
Yeah, like
that's usually how that pans out.
Yes. Yeah.
Personally, I thought it was a good rule. It just took.
So let me put this. So again, what does a good round of game of Zendo look like? Is it everybody's cooperative?
A really good round is actually when there are more structures on the table.
Like more smaller ones?
More smaller ones, or at least more straightforward ones. You eventually kind of get the sense, because like I've played with a couple of different groups of this before, and you kind of get the sense that there's always that one type of player who goes out of their way to make things unnecessarily complicated because they're a sadist. I don't. You were not doing that.
That's presuming a lot of intent.
And it's very visible in person.
I would say it's no fun if the game master isn't actually actively trying to help.
That's what I would say too, as far as the way the game goes. But there are those types of game masters which would disagree and say, "I'm having a great time."
Well, yeah, it's no fun for the party.
I don't think any of the structures I made at first have more than 5 pieces. Maybe 6.
No, they definitely had at least 6.
I didn't think they were super complicated, but I didn't realize at the time, like, it's a lot different looking at it from that perspective versus the guessing perspective, because I could see as I was putting them down, like, oh no, they're overthinking so much just because I added a little bit extra.
Well, it's also that, and
but you also weren't iterating.
If we're being completely fair, there's also that element of you actually knowing the rule, so you could see a structure and look at it and say, "Oh yeah, that makes complete sense. Yes, that must absolutely follow the rule." Whereas we have no idea.
I don't know. I just thought, like, is it too easy if you just like make the same structure but switch the color. It feels like it would just give it away way too quickly.
I mean,
kinda
Josh
get
was
it.
also
We
right. We
did
had
that.
that option, and we didn't do it.
Yeah,
Not for a while.
I saw that
No, hold on.
later.
We're conflating two different things here. The first is that I think Mike was responding to what Nate said about if the master iterates along with the students, it makes it easier for the students. And I agree with Mike in that makes it too easy. And then to Steve's point is that we didn't really have the option, short of painstakingly grabbing pieces and trying to arrange them exactly how Mike did, with a little bit of a different piece of exactly copying, replicating the structures. If they were a bit simpler, then like when we had the option to like grab 3 pieces and copy what the master hinted, change up 1 thing or 2, and then submit that, we did it. But then once it got to be like 6-7 pieces like painstakingly arranged on top of each other, I just didn't bother. So I was like, it is not worth my time to try to get this
Well, yeah.
perfectly
Well,
aligned.
that's why my structures are
I mean,
very
the
simple.
very first example was only 4 pieces, and it was
Yeah,
pretty easy to slap
two
together.
of us copied it
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
you stopped.
because
Yeah.
you
You
made
could
them
have
like
kept
6-7
iterating
pieces
on it.
tall
Yeah,
You could have
because
kept
you
iterating
made
on the
them.
first example.
on that same one.
Yeah, I mean, it was still there the whole time. I don't know.
Would that have been helpful though to keep iterating on this tiny little piece? Because we
Well,
wouldn't
that's
have
how
gotten
you
to
figured it
the
out in the
color
end was
thing.
by iterating on the same, on a different
Well,
thing that
in
was just
fairness,
4
you
pieces.
also started iterating on that same piece.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yes.
Built
I
like
put it
7 of
down
those
once.
across the 4 of
You
us.
guys put down a bunch of them, but I only put down
But
1,
You put 2 of them down.
2.
Yeah.
Okay, but I put the second one down after you guys all spent a round to like extremely
Yes.
close to the copying it.
Yes.
Yes.
And the very first round of the game, we did that, but then you broke the combo.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to blame anybody. It's just like there's a lot
Yeah,
of
no,
ways
no,
to
no.
slice
No,
this.
no.
And it's a lot. It kind of comes down to like what
Yes.
kind of experience are we actually trying to craft here. So I'm looking at this like if I'm going to be the codemaster, I want to do my hints such that everybody gets the game they're trying to get.
It might have just been that
Trying to-
I wasn't thinking ahead of like what I wanted to build for the next hint until like it was my turn to build the hint. So when it came to my turn to build the hint, I was just like, oh, I don't know, slap something together. So yeah, I probably should have been trying to think ahead as you guys were doing yours. So I'm like, oh, what do I want to make my next hint? But then that's hard because then you have to think of, well, what if it's a success or a failure?
Well, I think it's important that the game master would notice what the players are going for, and if the game master realizes they're going down the wrong way, the example that they should put down should be very clear that that way is not the way to go.
But doesn't that then favor the person who's to the left of the guesser, or to the left of the codemaster, because then they'll get to guess on that information sooner?
Yeah, but I don't think of this as a competitive game.
Okay, like that's the crucial thing I was trying to establish is that when we talked about what we enjoyed the last round, it seemed to be when we were all working together at the very end of the game, the 4 of us working together.
I
would-
think
yeah.
that
No,
kind
it's
of
just
came
like-
after
I felt
we
like,
all kind of
hey,
threw in the hat.
I just felt like, hey, if I build a failure hint that's just the blue and red inverted from a success hint that already exists, then like that's way too like that's just going to give it away immediately, right?
No, I agree with you, Mike. That's
Yes.
I completely agree. That's what I'm trying to get at is like what do we want from a codemaster?
So like you have to change it somewhat, at which point that could be construed as you trying to intentionally throw them off. But like, is that okay? Is that bad? To
I mean,
intentionally throw
it
them
sounds
off
like we're
a bit?
getting at
I
that
don't
the
know.
codemaster has to, in his
It's-
hints, be
it's a
obfuscative
weird-
enough to make it hard, but not so obfuscative to throw people off. And that
It's a
is
weird, like,
possibly a vague
collaborative-
line to walk.
It's almost like it reminds me almost of like one of those like collaborative storytelling games where it's like you're not competing, you're playing together to try and have an experience where it's like technically there's the master and the students, but you're really just trying to play together to make an interesting puzzle between the two of you, and you're not
Okay.
really trying to like.
All right, let's tease that out. I'll
Which
be
is-
the
which is
codemaster.
an
I'm gonna
odd
pick a
way,
rule that
because-
I think is gonna be kind of hard. but
Okay.
we'll do all co-op.
Sure.
Okay.
It's just like an odd type of game because it feels like, at least maybe from my perspective, I'm very used to thinking of games in terms of just like strategy and just like how do you win.
That's exactly what the problem I was running into was. I think it was,
Yeah,
And it's not that I was.
I completely threw that out.
It's not, and I don't mean that to say that like I was trying to win. I was trying to help you guys. It's just that I'm not used to that kind of thing, so I didn't really know how to be helpful in the right way. I don't know.
I just thought of this as a problem-solving exercise, not at all competitive in any nature.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wasn't
Okay.
thinking of it as competitive either.
this is a
Not the
passive
kind of
board. My intent is
collaborative
that
problem solving. It's not
It's
the right.
passes.
my intent is that the wedge is distinct from the other group, and then
Okay.
the other two pieces are on top
It's
of the red
separate.
block.
Okay. Okay. Then I will try.
All right, Kunzig, what you got?
Oh my gosh. It's so fiddly. What? What?
He's a wizard.
That's not supposed to happen. Oh, we're gonna say that's an illegal move.
My intent is to
This is my
defy the
intent.
laws
My
of
intent
physics.
is that it is standing up like that. Yes.
Hang on, if I like, can you do ballin'?
I was also.
Let the
I had-
record show those are illegal moves.
I had to try really hard to not laugh when, like, the defining hint that turned the game around was the one where I arranged the pieces to make it look like they were doing it.
I don't think I was
Thank you, Mike.
I don't think I turned anything around. Like, we were spinning on wheels penetratively for a while and getting nowhere. Well, I was at least.
So the 2 blocks laying sideways and then the one standing up behind it.
That wasn't. I don't. No one saw sex there.
I did.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I made
You did
that
too,
one.
Nate. Nate, you did.
No, I did. I was saying I didn't.
Steve, did you see sex with the
I
see
don't know which
missionary
one he's
position?
talking about.
when it was block
I
fallen block?
Yeah.
Like when it was block fallen block. Like that.
No, I did not see
I saw a
that.
tower knocked over, which is why I
Yeah,
brought
that's
up
what I
the
saw.
sex bid. Like you're the only one who saw missionary style. Just you, Mike. Just you, bub.
Okay, I'm gonna say this fails.
That is correct. That fails.
Nice.
I did the exact same structure, except I changed the order of them. The verticality order, specifically.
Mhm.
At least that was my intent.
It always looks like we're like those kids in the Matrix, like training their psychokinetic powers, and we're just starting. Like we kind of get it, but like we're really not that good at it yet.
Okay, I'm gonna say this passes.
That one fails.
He did mention that this one was distinctly separate.
Mhm.
So I would hope that matters, but I'm not sure.
I can neither confirm nor deny whether that matters.
Of course you can.
This does follow the rule.
That is correct. That passes the rule.
Sweet.
What would you guys like? Would you like a pass or a failure?
A pass.
Pass.
Sure.
Go with pass, Steve.
Yeah.
This passes my rule.
Wang.
Okay. Mm. Okay. Oh my gosh. No. No.
You have to bias it a little bit.
I'm gonna that my intent is that they're actually aligned.
Okay.
And I think that will fail.
That passes my test.
It passes. Okay, so there was no yellows in that one. Or greens, if you would. But it was the same shape as his previous one. And they both had red on bottom.
I like the idea.
Mm.
I'm gonna guess that this fails.
That's correct. That fails my test.
Okay.
My rule. Fails my rule.
Must the rule? Well, okay, so must rules only apply to the finished structure?
Yes.
What would I give you the result?
Order you built it matters.
Yes, that's what I was getting at.
Oh my
that
gosh,
would be
no,
bullshit.
no, never.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like if you put down like a block instead of a wedge first, it's like you can't touch a block first is the rule, which is detestable.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not a thing.
But again, no, it's not really that all of these all these rules we think are bad are because they're too hard. But it's so abstract what things are hard or not, and it so depends on what things you guess for. Oh, that was your completed test.
I think this passes.
Well, I would say
Yes,
it wasn't.
that passes.
That's not a
That passes my
hard
rule.
rule. It just requires knowledge that you might not always have.
Oh, I forgot to take a cheese wedge.
Go for it.
Would you guys like a pass or a fail?
Fail.
Let's see. What was that one? That was a. I would go for a fail.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not very helpful. This is helpful. Alright. This fails my rule.
Can we separate that a little bit?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, so it's just by itself. That went past. I'm gonna guess that this fails.
That one passes my rule.
Passes the rule.
This is interesting. We started with what I thought was the pretense that people would cooperate, and there's no discussion.
Well, this is a competitive
I've been
game.
trying to put out some discussion.
No, we went into this saying that I would pick a hard rule, but it would be cooperative, and I would try to help. That was the assumption I went
I
into.
don't really have.
I've been stating facts about the things. That is my intent.
You done, Mike?
Yeah.
That fails my rule.
Fails. Okay. So the difference between that and say this one or this one is that it's the same shapes and same colors. They're not in the same
This
orientation.
passes.
That passes my rule.
Passes the rule.
You guys like a pass or a failure?
Still looking. So what about these? This one, and this one. What is different? It's just the positioning.
Mhm.
It's the exact same pieces were used in all three of these.
Mhm. And also, that one, just to be sure that it's not color related. At least I don't think it's color related.
Well, if it is color related, there's another aspect with it. I mean, he did say it was going to be hard. It's an intentionally hard one.
I think it's related to like what pieces are on the top. Not in terms of like what's on top of what, but in terms of like looking straight down what is like the top pieces. I think. I don't know.
Like if you were to look at it straight
That's
down,
interesting.
like this one, there's yellow,
Like
yellow,
this,
blue.
like this block here in this piece.
Right.
That's not
Well-
a top block, so it like doesn't count against whatever.
Right. So if you were to look at a just strictly top-down version, you'd see 2 yellows and a blue.
But then,
and
like
nothing
here in your first example, the sideways red block is technically like part of the top because it would be visible. Like,
I specifically said my intent was that they were aligned.
it was kind of what I'm going with.
Well, no, he was talking about this one.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
that
okay,
red
yeah.
block is going to be
I
visible
mean, like
either
Yes,
way.
technically,
that one,
with
yes.
the
That one I
slightly
would
way
say.
position, you can see the yellow blocks underneath from above. But I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
As a-
assuming that everything is aligned.
As opposed to this one where, we assume that it is aligned, then you would
Yes,
only
yeah,
see
yeah,
the
yes.
blue wedge.
Yes, in this example, if these were all aligned, you would see like red, blue, red. Maybe, probably not a yellow, and then a yellow over here.
I'm willing to try some things out when we get to my turn.
Well, it's
Would
Josh's
you
turn.
like
so
a
we have to
pass or a fail
determine-
example?
We'll do a pass.
Yeah, we could use a
Yeah.
pass.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Oh, that's hot.
This passes my rule.
That passes, okay. So if we're going that top-down route, the red is not visible, I would assume. It's just a yellow.
The red are visible on mine, though, so I think it
Correct.
has more to do with it being a block.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think it's color related.
Which actually line up with all of Mike's, because blocks are visible from the top
Correct.
in all of his.
So, what if... But this one's not a block.
Correct. None of those are blocks. So blocks are not visible from the top down.
Okay, see, I would say, like, the rule is that a block can't be the top. Like, can't be on top. But then there's Kinzig's first guess over here, where, like, I mean, if you go by, like, the top-down visibility, technically, the block is visible from the top. But that seems really
Correct.
specific for a rule. I don't think that would be it.
It could be it.
Because, like, otherwise, if it was just, like, simply a block cannot be on top, then this would be a pass, not a fail. So does it have to do something like something with
Visibility.
visibility? I don't know if visibility is the best way to phrase it, but yeah. Like
But
exposed.
like, this one was the exact same sculpture as his first
Yeah.
one, except the order. The
Like, visibility is maybe a bad way to put it, but like exposed.
Yes,
Archer blocks on
I understand
top.
what you're getting at. Okay, well...
I mean, if you want to try and build structures that might either confirm or deny it, well,
yeah, that's what I'm
I don't want to
going
be that guy, but like I have 3 cubes, I could just throw out a cube for it.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, I'm not confident in it yet. I would need more information.
But I don't know what you mean by using a cube.
Spending a guess
One of his,
token.
he's guessing cubes.
Right, but what would you guess? Just the fact that...
The visibility. Or exposure from top down.
Well, but like... You can't... it could be anything. If it's an exposure thing, that's a vector. That's not like a single guess.
I mean, I could phrase it into a rule. That would be guessing a rule about the exposure from top down.
Yes, but if that fails, then that doesn't
Then
tell
I
us
was
whether
wrong
it's
and we keep
not an
going.
exposure. Right, but it doesn't tell us whether it wasn't an exposure rule or it was an exposure rule.
Correct, but then we would just keep going.
Yeah, but I don't know why would you throw out a guess if
Because I'm confident enough. Because
Well,
that's
if you don't want to
a
throw it
commonality
how about
between all
you
of the.
put together an example,
I,
and I'll judge it.
that's what I was trying to do, but he offered to do that, and I wasn't
Well, it's your
sure
turn,
why
so.
he would do it.
Yeah,
I
it's your
know
turn.
it's
I
my
can't do it
turn.
until my turn. I can't stop
yes, I get that. Okay. I will try. Where it is. I'm gonna do that. I say that.
Just so you understand, that's.
Yes, and they are separate.
Just gotta do one of these.
And I would say that fails.
That is correct. That fails my rule.
Oh gosh, you're. the
No, I know.
language rule is on.
It was perspective driven.
Oh gosh, that is weird.
I gotta go like. Oh goodness.
I'm gonna say that passes.
That is correct. That passes my rule.
Oh boy.
Which one? This tower here?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna box everybody's little things.
So if no one has.
Is it that a block piece cannot be viewed or exposed from a top-down view?
That is my rule.
What? Mike, what?
Okay, yeah.
What? How did you pinpoint that so...
Well, so at first I thought it was about, like, no flat bits on top. Because that was kind of in common of, like, well, why does the single block on side fail? Why does, like, Nate's thing fail when this passed? And stuff. But then I did this. And that's not flat, but it's still a block.
Right.
I still want to give that to Mike.
It was a cooperative,
I mean, that's-
cooperative effort. I mean, you guys honed in
Yeah.
on it pretty quickly, I thought. And I
Yeah.
will admit that
Yeah.
I didn't follow my own. So the prerequisite was I'll pick what I think is a hard rule, but I'll work with you guys and and we'll all do this cooperatively. And I did break that in my very first example. That was a little bit abstract. I could have started with just this piece, if I was trying to be like supremely nice. That's
No,
what I
I
would
think
have
it was
started.
fine. Like,
No, I mean this went
This is
well.
a bit of this was a bit of indulgence on the part of the
we caught
the
with
code
it.
master.
I mean, I was starting to catch on to it, like, pretty quick, just
Yeah.
based off, like, this, the very
I
first
don't know
test.
how you did that. I legitimately have
Just
no idea
switching
how you
the
did that.
position.
Because it was the exact same shape. It's the same build, except the order was different. That was the only thing different here. So,
Yeah, so there was the
it
one
had to
presumption
have
I had.
been order position.
There was a presumption that I had to make that I couldn't really talk about, which was that a block is like 2 units wide, like 2 by 1 units wide.
Sure.
So you need 2 pieces of these arranged particularly such that you can actually fully cover the face. The rule I had in mind with the wording of it was that the topmost face of any block is completely covered. And so for Nate's example over
Sure.
here, that is not completely covered. That is only
Correct.
a
Yes.
Correct.
and then Mike put it down in this example, which like okay, that's a block and it's a face that is not covered,
Right.
which I believe I think helped a lot in narrowing it down exactly what we're looking at here. It became that it's block based and then that's projection based, which I thought was
Yes.
fair. I know we couldn't do like camera angles, but since that top down is a universal angle, I thought that was appropriate to use, and I think coverage
No, I
is
was-
still clear enough from any angle or an orientation that it's still a fair game for a guess. I knew it would possibly be much harder, but I thought that working together and with a cooperative
Yeah,
codemaster,
this one went a lot better.
because I could tell where you guys were going for, and I was like, okay, well, it's probably helpful to slap down one of these puppies and just say like, okay, look, this block alone fails it. And then I thought, okay,
Right.
well, that's close enough to my other one of having a red base. I tried to keep red bases consistent and then have yellow pieces on top to be like, it's not color based in this way. It's like, but again, there's so many different dimensions of hinting that, like in this first example, I just grabbed colors at random, and that could have, sent 3 people down the entirely wrong rabbit hole.
So the thought process I was going through was like, okay, the very first thing was Nate doing the switch, and that didn't clue me into anything immediately. But then I tried taking away the top blue spire and the side block. And maybe that was too much to do at once, because that wasn't quite clear then whether it was the side block or the top spire that changed it. Then Nate did Steve did this, which to me was pretty clear indication that color was not a part of it at all. So I just stopped thinking about color.
Yeah.
That's so. It's interesting that we said that. Stop thinking about color. I think that's what happened in our second round of Zendo, where
you guys were saying quite a lot
stopped.
that you thought color was irrelevant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was because of. And that's I was thinking like. I was thinking very particularly that the order at which guesses occur is very impactful for that, and it's too dangerous to completely discount any one dimension. If there are
right, that's why I kept saying that if it was color based, it would have some other bit attached to it.
Yes.
Yeah, and for a while, I mean, I didn't like immediately jump to the flat surface thing at all, because for a bit there, I was also thinking that might be related to like the openings and like how they're facing relative to other openings. But then once we started trying like the single blocks, that kind of definitively shut that down.
Yeah, and I wouldn't do a relativistic. I wouldn't do an opening relativistic facing hint. I think that's a little too abstract.
Although there was still the fear that it might have been like. I realized part of the problem with my rule is that it was a negative rule. And like I remember thinking while you guys were talking about it during the game that like it would be easier if you guys were to ask for more negative cases, I think. Because I had a negative rule, and so if you were just trying random stuff, it would very often pass just because like there was no red and blue together in the structure. So it just auto passes, and there was no way for you to know any different.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like, I've been kicking around this idea, especially with this, but like scientific method, it's easier to falsify a hypothesis, and I've been kicking that around for because it's like, is it really? But enough people have said it that I'm starting to just kind of go with it.
So yeah, like there was a bit of a fear. But sorry, go on.
Yeah, so when Nate was like, when Steve was like, I think I want to guess on Mike's hypothesis. I think that Nate could have built something that tried to falsify that hypothesis.
That's what I was hoping for. Either confirming it or falsifying it.
Yeah. But, like, it can be, like, it's almost better to guess failures. Because if you get it, I mean, well, I guess the problem is that you're not looking for a failure. You're just presuming that your thing might be a failure. But you don't actually know.
Right.
Like, you can't actually know which side you're going to flop, like, which side to put this on. Like, that's a hard one to actually know what to do. But trying to falsify a hypothesis is more helpful. But yeah, I think
that's the thing about it. Like
the negation in the rule.
Have you ever heard anybody talk about like when a professor grades your class? It's not like the letter grade does not reflect how much of a subject you know. It's how much of a subject that the professor wants you to know that you actually know. That's kind of the way that this works out. It's when you're trying to falsify a hypothesis, you're only ever able to falsify the hypothesis that you're coming up with, but not what might actually be the case.
Sure.
And that's where a lot of that gets tricky.
The other thing was that, like, when you're thinking about I was thinking about, like, openings. And, for one, this and this are identical, except the openings are aligned on the same side here, but not here. And also, when we started doing...
Oh, yeah.
When we started doing the single blocks, at first I thought, well, maybe it's some like negative rule relating to the openings, and it's just passed by default because there's only one block, and you need like 2 openings for the negative rule to take effect. But then once this happened, it's like, well, okay, a single block can fail, which means no, it can't be some negative rule relating to like multiple pieces interacting at all, even regardless of openings or not. Like it has to be something more simple than that.
That was good.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one.
I
That
thought
was
so too.
It's good.
And I would still say that was a hard rule. You did a good job. Like
I-
if I were to
yeah.
give it a difficulty, I would call it hard.
Yeah,
I figured it was a hard rule. I thought it
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
acceptable because it was a cooperative.
I feel like I kind of lucked into that
Framing.
in terms of like. I know I just spent a bunch
Maybe-
of time explaining my line of thinking, but I still feel like that's kind of luck. I was just like,
Maybe
Well,
just
don't
a
forget,
little
we
bit, but
I was able, and well, part of my role was to push you in the direction that you're going. So when I see people going
Also
down the
true.
wrong path, I pop down something that then hopefully stops that line and tries to kind of bump
Right.
you guys back onto the right line. Like, okay, well, that dimension is irrelevant. Let me prove that dimension is irrelevant by my example, at least as best as I can, given the framework of pass-fail request. But
that
I
gets
think
interesting though, because not all game masters have to do that. Some of them can be a lot more abstract, and there's kind of like it's kind of like a double-edged sword when you do that, because on the one hand, if you're just doing it to troll people, it gets frustrating for everybody. But at the same time, if at some point a player does have that eureka moment, it feels really good.
I would
I
say if the
suppose-
game master's trolling, I won't ever feel satisfied, even if I did
enjoyed the
guess it correctly.
framing. I enjoyed the framing of this game a lot more than the last time. The framing
Yes.
being cooperative players, cooperative codemaster, relatively abstract rule. I
That's
did
interesting.
not enjoy the framing of it being competitive. I felt
I agree.
I didn't enjoy that at all. I felt like, okay, well, it's not helpful for me to put guesses out and try to falsify my hypothesis. I should just throw my guess cubes to try to get the win before I give anybody else more information. I'll let my opponents try to get information for everybody, and that wasn't
I definitely did
helpful.
not like that.
So
That's
that's just
interesting.
that's more of a gameplay.
Like it
thing
wasn't helpful
than
to
anything
you
else.
or anybody, which is kind of the crux.
Well, no, it was the win was in the horizon. I just didn't know it until I explored it. Right, like, or on the frontier. Like, it was in the frontier. Like, it was right there.
I'm
like-
just saying it gets fun because like I definitely agree with the game master being more cooperative. I think that's where a lot of people have more fun overall. But I've always played this as a competitive game among the
Yeah.
quote unquote students, and that's where the point of the green cubes come in. The physical game does come with the green cubes. It never came with these pawns over here. I don't know why those are here, but
Are the green cube's number of successful wins?
they are guessing tokens. Like even in the original
Oh.
rules, like even before I
No,
designed
I
my
know.
house rules. So
No, we still, even with the cooperative framing, we still abided by the cheese tokens.
no, we
as a
did, and I
rule.
get that. But the cheese tokens kind of help measure a competitive element between the players.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. Because you can lose with 40 and you can win with 0.
Right.
You cannot win with 0.
Well, but you spent your guess token and won.
Sure, so you won with 1.
Well,
Sure.
sure. You spend your mana
You
before
spent
you
it, and
cast
it
a
was
spell.
then 0.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I did not enjoy the
idea.
way
I don't
I
know.
felt playing the game when it was competitively.
Yeah.
I guess I just never experienced a game of Zendo where it was fully cooperative, but I enjoyed it. I had 0 problems with it. I just wasn't used to that. Like, that's the direction we were going to take this.
Yeah, well, it was more.
I wasn't expecting
yeah.
it.
It was more an experiment than anything else. Like, I just wanted to give it a shot and be like, okay, well, how does this feel? How does this feel?
I prefer I prefer
So-
looking at this puzzle to try and figure out rather than a race. If it's a race, I don't think it's fun, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I like that.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment.
So even if we call it caps here, would we be willing to try this again some other time?
Yeah,
I would be up for it. Yeah.
I wanted to try it. I just like a lot of tonight was learning the bounds, learning the framing, and
That's fair.
next time we do
Yeah,
it, if we say at the front, like, okay, this is the framing of this game, I'd have an easier time, I think, not feeling lost.
Right. Yeah, like if we're all lost but we're not helping each other, then nothing happens, which is what we did for at least 3/4 of Mike's round. And once we actually did it in the last quarter, where we actually tried to communicate stuff, things went a lot smoother. And it was actually a lot more rewarding to solve it. Like if somebody had guessed it during that first 3/4, I would not have been satisfied. Like even if I had guessed it correctly, I would not have been satisfied. But because we actually had the problem solving setup in that last quarter where we actually were trying to solve it and come up with ideas, that was actually a lot more rewarding of an experience.
I mean, I do think you guys threw in the towel kind of a bit quickly. Felt like after like 1 or 2 rounds of the last game, you guys just kind of
I didn't
gave
throw
up
in the
really
towel until at
trying.
least the 4th round. I was still
I don't know,
putting
like when Steve like threw down the 5 pyramids on top of each other, I thought like, oh, they're finally like gonna try simple stuff relating to color
don't give me
positioning.
credit. I had no
But then
idea
you
what I was
guys
doing
didn't
with that
follow
one.
up on it at all.
I did. What did I made a thing just
you
like that.
followed up on it once and then dropped it, kind of.
Well, yeah, because
Well,
then you kept making
I
other
guess I should
things
have.
that didn't follow with
I
it.
should have followed up on it myself to egg you in that
Well, I
direction.
mean, it should have is like I don't know if we can even say should have because we didn't frame it as what the Codemaster ought to be doing.
I mean, it was.
Well, yeah, it's a Codemaster's decision.
If right,
Exactly.
if
So we can't say what Mike should have done because
Correct.
he was free to do whatever he wanted, and that's part of what it was. Like I felt lost because it felt like it's too open. I have no way to. I don't know how to branch it like slice up all these dimensions because I was looking okay.
I don't know. I think you guys could
inside each other. I kept seeing Mike put examples of like stuff stacked on top of each other, like inside, like pieces inside each other, and I was like, okay, it's got to be something to do with that then, because he keeps bringing examples of that in. And
I'm not saying that I didn't mess up or make any mistakes there, but I think you guys really could have handled it a lot better too.
I'm not saying you messed up either.
Sure.
I mean, I literally proved that you couldn't have messed up because you weren't bound by any obligation to do anything.
And
I'm explaining in response to you saying I expected this, explaining where I went instead of where you expected me to go, which is I saw a bunch of examples that included pieces inside each other or like things stacked on pyramids, and then I saw Steve put an example down of 5 pyramids, and I thought, okay, it's got to be something about stacking on top of pyramids. I never once thought of color from top down being the dimension upon which I should be looking at.
Well, but then you were mentioning the nesting, and not to say that Mike was doing something wrong, but if the goal of the game master is that somebody wins or somebody guesses it, then I think it is important, not that it is necessary, but it's important that the game master try doing something that either if what the party is saying is just flat out wrong in the wrong direction, there should be examples then that completely don't even utilize said vector.
Well, yeah, the game master is the one who kind of dictates how long a round could or should last.
I kind of thought you guys would like to try, but like when I built like I will admit some of the things I built were a little big, but I was kind of hoping you would try just like cutting it down. Like I built the same thing but cut off the top 2 blocks. How does that change it?
Well, I did some of that too. I
Because
was
it's like,
doing some
Yeah.
smaller structures that were pieces of other larger structures.
yeah, but then you guys started just randomly throwing out 4 pyramids in a square. And I'm like, what?
Because we were trying to get more angles of information.
Yes.
Because it's easier to try to like slice up some rules, like snip off like a possibility here and there with a smaller, simpler piece
Yeah.
than with a convoluted 7-piece abstract like
Right.
arrangement. Because
Well, when
all
I
of,
put down the 4
if you-
wedges,
if you
that
put down
was
a hint
number
with
based.
if you put down a guess with fewer dimensions, it's easier to understand which dimension matters. If you do like a 6-piece arrangement, there's so many dimensions that could matter with that.
Right.
You
Yeah.
only get one result, and it doesn't tell you anything about the dimensions.
I don't know. Like,
And I'll
if you
admit,
have,
as far as the criticism about we should have built facsimiles of your hints, I looked at them and thought that's too much work for me to try to stack that. I'm not going to bother. It's fully this. That's where my brain was at.
yeah, I
I'm
mean, I
not
did
gonna
make them a
bother
little
trying to stack
complicated, but like,
8 things on top of each other in their precise arrangement.
okay, none of them were 8. But like, if I made a tower of 6, you could have just like taken the top 2 blocks. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm getting too caught in this. I just feel like the natural thing to me is to look at the examples and then just try removing things until something changes.
Yeah.
And
Well,
think about
that's what I was doing. That was my intent.
I'm
And
sorry.
every
I'm getting
single
too
one
stuck
of-
in the weeds trying to like justify myself. Sorry.
No, I mean it's
No, it's fine. And like another thing too is like maybe part of like I'm not gonna give myself any blame, but like I did set this up as game master kind of doing what they want while the students are being competitive, and that's exactly what happened. And I definitely don't think it's your fault for following through with that when that's the way I kind of prefaced everything. But then when Josh did his rule and we all kind of found out and unanimously agreed that, okay, maybe it's better if everybody is just cooperative, then things would have been a lot differently if we went into that with that mind work. But we didn't know that to begin with. So that was a big wedge in the structure.
I don't know. The third
I think it
round
depends
was
on the
very
group
much
of
like
people.
I want to see was a response to what I heard some of the criticism about the second round of where do people enjoy it the most, and it was cooperative, 4 people cooperating. And I was like, okay, well let's frame a round of Zendo around that presumption and see what turns out. So
Right.
that's all.
And then all of a sudden we had much more fun with a harder rule.
Yes.
Well, sure. I mean,
So-
it's one data point. I will also say that in Mike's defense, in the round 1, Steve was doing a couple, like 3 or 4 block arrangements, and then the 4th hint was like this 8 block arrangement of 4 pyramids in the corners, and then
Yeah.
so like if you're looking for precedence about like when things start to get off the wall, go like so to scale up for Codemaster hints, that's a like there's precedence.
And I think part of the problem might have also been that when I saw that hint, I didn't think it was too crazy because I already had the hypothesis that it was based on colors and one of each color at the time.
But if you didn't,
So I wasn't really paying attention or thinking or like overthinking that hint. So it's just like, oh, whatever, he's just screwing around. Fine.
I just wanted to make something look pretty.
Mm.
Well, yeah,
That's another
didn't
kind
really
of
stick
fun
out.
part about
Fine.
Zendo.
It's being weird.
yeah. I'm trying to remember when we stopped just imitating Mike's hints, because the first round, that's exactly what we did. All 3 of us did something that was
Yes, and then on the second round, when he started doing the penetration, that's when we just kind of stopped.
Was it penetrative on the second round?
it was. The second one
was that
was,
the one
where it was
reverse triangle. Like one was a pyramid on with a square on top, and then the other one was an upside down square with a pyramid in the
It
top.
was a 6 stack,
Inside
right?
of it, and
it was
then
like
no, that was a 5 stack.
Oh yeah, that
5
was
stack? Okay.
that was a penetrative.
Pyramid
and
block. It was
upside
like pyramid
down.
block wedge, and
Pyramid
then like
arch.
block pyramid.
Yes.
Pyramid block wedge in a stack, and then block pyramid. I thought it was a 6 stack. I thought it was 2 by 3, 2 wide, 3 tall, with two blocks on top of 2 pyramids on each column.
It was like that. Yeah. What Mike's building.
And then
There was a block across the
There was a
top.
block across the top.
yeah, there's a block across the top. I thought that was it. I didn't remember any
Yeah,
pyramids.
there
on top.
might have been another
yeah.
pyramid on top of that last block. I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But
No,
it
there was
wasn't,
not
Well,
on that
we'll go to
not
the-
that particular
We'll
one.
go to the tape.
Like...
But yeah, I think this was like
I thought it
I
was
wasn't.
like
I think that
I didn't
was
think it would be helpful to try to build another one of these.
right. That was something like we were trying to iterate on it, and then this came out, which was very difficult to build. I think that might have been the problem.
Gosh, I'm gonna watch this back muted and be like, oh my gosh, all the red blocks are on the top. Oh, we're idiots.
yeah. Yeah, and then we're gonna make fun of ourselves. Hey, if you think you know what the rule is, comment down below. Make sure you click
See,
that
the red ones weren't always
I'm
on
gonna
top.
comment like, this freaking idiot.
By the way, who
No,
else thought it was
I did.
missionary?
I did often. There were a
Who
couple
the
times
freaks
where I
out there who saw two block tiles? Just get it on.
Oh, when you watch back the tapes, you're gonna notice another one that's also. You don't know. Let's say
What?
I'm still
You
recording.
just
There
got
were-
thirsty halfway through your load mastering and it just decided to.
I kept putting the points in the holes, and then Josh mentioned out loud, like, "Wow, he's doing a lot of these penetration things." And then I was like, "Yeah, penetration." I'll show him some penetration.
I'll show it.
No,
Well,
the
then you
only
tried
one that
to
got
put
me
it
was
penetrated sideways.
yeah, that was the one that got me. I stickered in that. It's like I can't get these to penetrate sideways. I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm 12 years old again.
But yeah, some of those early hands, there were a few times where I was specifically thinking, like, all right, and now I'll put the red block on top. But that'll be too obvious, so I'll put a random yellow block on top of that one, too.
And that's what threw us off big time.
Mm.
Which is fine, but that's just what threw us off
Well,
big time.
so like I think
Or at least me.
if you were just going for one piece of it at the very end, like what you built before didn't matter, and then I'm just going to stick a red thing on top. But that's too difficult. Like that seems a little bit odd. I don't know, at least in my opinion, from a game master perspective. Because then it's like, well, I built all this, but none of it actually mattered except for this one bit.
I think overall the issue is probably just that I underestimated how difficult it actually was. Because when you look at it, when you
How
know
dumb
it,
we
it's
were.
like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
Well,
actually impressed at
again-
how like smart your thought process was in the start there with some of those hints where like or some of the guesses you were making where you were like trying different things, and each of you was like trying a different approach. Where like Kunzik was doing the weird stuff with the numbers of pyramids and stuff, and Steve was doing like very elegant, simple, just stacks of stuff. And I thought he was onto something with that, where he was just going to start catching on.
At one point,
We're
there were
done
only
with
3
that.
guesses made that game.
No, I mean,
Yeah, but I think the guesses
there?
are
not the
not
guesses,
helpful.
the structures built. I mean. But yeah, like I underestimated how hard it was. So I thought like, oh, I need to throw in a little extra something to throw them off because it would be too easy.
Yeah, I
to
think if you're
Oh,
trying to
boy.
throw someone off, that's
maybe not
that-
throw off specifically, but more of just like, well, it'll be too obvious if I don't add this little extra thing, and then it turns out you guys focus too much on the little extra thing or something. I don't know.
well. I think it's important if the game master is just observant of
Yeah. And
if
you can
we are
have
focusing
fun-
on something that you were intending as like, oh well, this was too hard, I'll add this extra bit, and then we focus on the extra bit. It'd be important for somebody to steer them back.
It depends on the framing of the game. I think full stop. But also, something about that rule, and especially in relation to the rule of round number 3, is that my rule can be demonstrated with one piece, and that round 2 rule cannot be demonstrated by one piece. Like
like
cleanly.
a vast majority of the early guesses you guys were making were just like, well, it's an auto pass because you don't have both colors together.
Doesn't have red piece, yeah.
And like, oh, you just don't leave
Right.
it yellow, so yeah, sure. And that's like
Well,
that's
so
what I'm
that's
saying with the issue of it being a negative rule.
I mean,
It's a
I believe
negative
I think I
rule
talked
about
about
the
it at some point.
positional relationship of two different colors. So there's so many ways where
I
that's
think I talked
bad
about
because
that
it just doesn't apply.
halfway through my tirade in round 2. I talked about that. Like we're probably submitting guesses that just aren't engaging with the rule, and there's no way to
right.
know
Yeah.
that.
Well, so that's what I got when my first
back.
guess was the yellow was the yellow stack with the yellow pyramid on top. It was like the very small bit of the we were iterating, and I just took a very tiny bit, which was just the yellow square on the with the yellow pyramid on top. And then Mike looked at it and took a little bit and said, "Yes, technically." And then I was like, "What do you mean technically?"
Yeah, so
Because
the first couple rounds I was also not sure how exactly like because like yeah, in retrospect, yeah, that definitely has to be a pass. But the time I was
right.
well,
But I would think if a rule
I
can't
wasn't,
be
I wasn't
obviously
sure.
looked like if you look at a structure, you can't obviously say this matches the rule.
Well, the thing
It's
is,
a
I had the rule in mind, but I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to word it with relation to like. So I had the vague idea in mind, but I didn't have the specific wording of like, does it have to be the negative that a red piece cannot be on top, like above a blue piece, or does it
oh,
be
see
the
that.
positive
Yeah.
case of like a blue piece has to be above any red pieces, or like stuff like that of the specific in the weeds wording, which I should have
Yeah,
thought
I
of
mean
and solidified
it's really
before
hard
starting.
because like you could phrase an adjacent rule like the highest piece has to be red, but then what if the structure only has blue and yellow pieces? Does it pass or fail? What do you do about that? And it's like it's a little tough. I mean,
And
like
well, I'm
I
just
faced a
gonna say,
similar thing of with these right because my rule and only engage with blocks like it requests block faces. Now it was a like no block faces can be like all block faces have to be covered, right? So if there are no block faces, then like it passes the rule because all the block faces are covered. Because you could also say that
I
rule
don't
is
find
like
that as
no
a
block
problem though.
faces can be visible, and then okay, well then this passes. But it's kind of like the phrasing of that matters a lot.
yeah, I think a lot of it just comes down to inexperience of like not knowing
Right.
what makes a quote unquote good rule in terms of like ease of interpretation.
Yeah, and that's another benefit about the physical game. It comes with a small deck of cards and some paper clips. How you can like kind of pick and choose very specific rules out of it. Really great for new players. I like as long as you follow the all structures like must be self-contained, and the negative of a rule is also a valid answer for the rule. Then I never have any problems with people creating their own rules. But yeah, I guess if you're just starting out, like I kind of threw it out there. It's like, hey, does anybody want to try and be game master to come up with a rule? Whereas like I'm probably the only one here who actually read a lot of the predetermined rules and chose one that I know works.
Yeah, it probably would have been good if you had done at least 2 rounds before handing it off. I think that would have
Sure.
helped.
Kind of had that rule in mind already, and I wanted to try it.
And that's
So that's why
perfectly
And Mike
fine.
was very eager to to start.
No, he wasn't.
He didn't say it with gusto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have video evidence. You can't refute it.
Well, I know that happened, but like, it's a difference in like.
No, I know.
He took it up. He took up the challenge.
Yeah.
But like, yeah,
Well, I agree with that. I agree with that because
I
we wimped out.
realized, yeah, but like I realized now that was a way harder rule than I thought. Just in terms of
Yeah.
like the logical breakdown of it, that it's a negative statement about the relative positioning of two different colors of blocks is quite in depth. And if it was, and I see now, like if it was simplified to just like directly on top of instead of higher than, that would have at least simplified it a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's
Or at
actually
least
one of the
above.
rules in the game.
Or like, yeah,
Even if it
Well,
was
no,
just
he already did
above.
above. he already did above, and that's kind of what threw us off, because I was also trying to calculate, like, what's the significance of the green pieces in between them, and that's where it got a little bit complicated there. But I think it is strict. I'm pretty sure it is strictly a rule where it's like you can have X on top of Y, and that's a valid rule you could do.
Right.
Well,
Yeah. Well, I think above was fine. It was just the issue was that I wasn't looking at the peaks. I was considering the entirety of the block as being the
So-
actual point in space.
Something else that's interesting to bring up is that the Codemaster, for the most part, by merit of being the one who
Zendo Master.
leads, is the one who determines when dimensions enter into the possibility space.
That is true.
For example,
yeah.
when I did this and I wanted to see what would happen if I defined my intention about having that not be touching.
Mhm.
I then introduced the dimension of does separation between kind of superstructures of objects matter. I introduced that dimension, and then because I'm in this game, I was framing it as a cooperative Codemaster. I decided to then let's reel that back in and kind of follow along with like Mike started with that by pulling off that other separation piece, which started to help confirm that. But now I there's no reason for me to continue this dimension, so I stopped hinting along that dimension. But I think in this round 2, for example, we did the block on top of a pyramid, kind of stacked inside it, and that's now a dimension that got added to the possibility space.
Honestly,
by the Codemaster mid-round.
to put the pyramids inside the blocks. It was too. I saw that you could do it, and then I thought, that's fine. I'll do it.
I gotta
No,
do
I know,
this
I'm
now.
not.
I knew it. I knew you were
not-
just having fun with it.
Of course, I said as much, but I'm not. This is not blaming things. I'm just kind of musing that these are things that the Codemaster can do to control when to control like the reign of the possibility space, right? If the Codemaster adds a new dimension to it within their hints, then the players have to be cognizant of that new dimension. And the Codemaster, by merit of being the first one to hint and has to hint a passing example, very, very much sets the precedent for the number of dimensions upon which they need to consider. Like, if I hadn't put this one piece distinctly apart from it, then Nate wouldn't have, neither would Mike, neither would Steve. Like the first 3 guesses were the entire arrangement of it. Well, not the entire arrangement, but a absolute facet of their arrangements was dependent upon the fact that I defined a dimension that had to be explored.
Well, and that you explicitly stated that verbally.
Yes. Yep. I think we've probably analyzed it to death.
We'll do it again another time.
I think
We
a
will
lot of
always
this is
end.
just the growing pains of learning a new game that is this broad. I mean, how flippin' long did we analyze Resistance? And that's a very tightly controlled game, pretty much. I mean, we analyzed it to death so much so that Nate's year didn't get to play it, basically.
Yeah, we played it like once or twice, and it wasn't fun when they did that.
Yeah, because it was solved.
Or
Or Shadows.
Shadows. Yeah.
I played Shadows exactly once, and it was the worst experience that I had at game.
I also played Shadows as my second game night, and it was like no one wanted to play.
I played Shadows twice. I don't know, Josh, if it was the same game you played the first time, but I didn't enjoy it the first time for the exact same reason. The second time I played it, nobody knew how to play the game, and it was hilarious.
Oh, that's right. We played it with James, and he got it wrong. He got the rules wrong, and it didn't work at all.
No, we played it with Garrett. He got all the rules wrong.
Was it Garrett? We played it.
It was Garrett.
In the Commie Lounge, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
like
we just,
very beginning of spring semester sophomore year or something.
We set the game up wrong, and it was impossible or something like that. It just
Yep.
it did not work. It did not function. And it was like, we
And it
learned
was
like an hour and a half
hilarious.
in. Garrett's like, wait, can I check the rule book? And we were like, yeah, okay, cool. And he's like, yeah, this game's borked or something like that. And like we just couldn't recover.
Yep.
And we just, yeah, I forgot about that.
And then he accidentally revealed he was a traitor without like the faith card,
Oh.
or however that worked.
Was that James who did that, or was that Garrett who did it?
No, it was Garrett.
Oh, okay. Was James in the game, or am I just misremembering?
I don't think he was in the game.
No, James was nearby and told Garrett,
Probably.
Garrett, that's not how the game works. You messed it up. And he's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And then he told him,
Yep.
like, no, it's over. You can't recover from this.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
what it was. James like walked over and Garrett's like, I did this cool play, James. And he's like, you can't do that play. He's like, what do you mean? Yes.
It says right here I could play it.
Like, says I can play the, oh no.
And then we just had to stop the game halfway through, even though we were having so much fun with it.
Well, there's no coming back from that. Like, you just couldn't.
No, I know.
You couldn't rewind anymore. Yeah.